Okay, so what's up? Thanks for coming to my Ableton DJ engineering session. This is the set that I made for 420. It was the Westwood Shambhala live stream. So I engineer all my sets just because it lets me make kind of the most complicated and cool arrangements, change tempos, use acapellas, like bridge everything together really nicely. And it just takes like a high level of engineering to make all that happen. So this is like kind of like the average session that I put together. So it was 420. This first song's called Legalize.
It's blessed, you know. Marijuana, marijuana. If them ask you if you want some, just tell them that you.
It's by Irie Mafia. I've actually had this song for like 8 or 9 years, and I've been waiting to play it. Irie Mafia is this really wicked band. They're also called Brains. I don't know if they're around anymore still, but they sent me the stems. So like anytime I like a song, I'm always trying to get the stems. And what stems are is the acapella, the instruments, the drums, all those things. So when you have those things, you can just really do interesting mixes and stuff. And that's what I've always kind of enjoyed doing and pushing forward. So it goes from this song into this track called Acrylic by Acrylis called This Is Mad 2 on Mad Zoo. You'll see these like little 6-hat SP things. These are like count-ins I use when I actually do the live mixing, when I engineer, or when I DJ, because everything's changing tempos, and I like just use a click to keep everything locked, unless I'm dropping an acapella live or like scratching in a beat or something. So when you see these, that's just what those are. So I'll show you the quick just transition from this tune.
Marijuana, anytime it's free up the marijuana herb. It will cure them disease and them economic crisis. I get my marijuana anytime I want it. Nobody no feel lock up in a jail where you plant it. The marijuana is a plant, not a drug. It's stronger than antibiotics and herb on the everybody we smoke and sell herb.
Okay, so what's happening here is like this pink thing is the acapella. These are like the horns and the guitar. And when I was making this edit, I was working really fast on deadlines and stuff. And I actually forgot to put the bass line in from this song. So this is like the full mix of the track, and then it breaks into the stems right here. So I'm actually going to put in the bass line because it just will sound a little bit better. So this is my multi-track folder. These are all songs that I have all the stems to, and this is Irie Mafia, Legalize, featured Bless, and I need the remix bass, so I made a new track here. I'm going to drop the bass line in, and I'm going to line it up with the other stems that I have, and make sure the tempo's right. So looks like my restream chat just dropped out, but load that back up. Anyways, okay, baseline. So if you look down here, the segment tempo, 67 BPM. Yeah, that's what this original song is at. So you can hear the stems here. And I'll play that with the horns. And I think... Sweet. Okay, so like these are playing at the same time. In the timeline, like I basically just made it so the stems are playing. Got it working? You guys still there? Yeah, I think it's still. Okay, so I need to. Sorry, guys. I'm just sure that everything's working. Yeah, sweet. Lazo, Twitch. Thank you for saying what's up. The restream chat just quit. I just wanted to make sure it was working still. Okay, so back to this. So basically, I just wanted to put in the bass line because this full red track here, that's the full mix of the tune. And then I should probably put a little. Then it breaks into the stems, the drums, vocal, the keys, horns, and now the bass, because I just wanted to have it basically be the exact same into the transition. Okay, but I don't need the bass line to keep going past that. And I'll maybe just throw a little delay or something. Fade this, I don't want that. Just automate a little delay right on there. And then on the delay track, I don't want it to actually, so this is my send with an H delay, and I don't want any bass frequencies delaying past when the new track starts. So this delay, I'm going to automate an EQ on and off. Just for a little bit, part of the set, just under 100, so it's going to delay. Somewhere. Okay, so now we just got that nice smooth transition.
The marijuana is a plant, not a drug. It's stronger than antibiotics and them Tylenol pill. I will pop people, them prescription drugs kill and them still. Now while we grow the herb on the hill, everybody we smoke and sell herb for free up from jail. And we increase the crime and make this system a fail. Me need me morning spliff, I need me spliff for bedtime. The herb are free to get a youth them mind. Okay, tell them legalize.
So I'm doubling the tempo, or I guess they're both 67 BPM on the trap halftime. So then the acapella carries over this intro, and this is how I like to do a lot of my mixes, because it's just like a sweet, smooth bridge between the two, because you've been listening to this guy sing this whole song, and then this new song comes in, and it's like so important to note that they're the same key. So these are both in the key of D minor. And then, so what I'll do pretty much with everything is that when this vocal comes in, there's a whole bunch of frequencies in this song. And this is right where the vocal is sitting in this kind of like high mid range where he's singing. So if you don't EQ out some of those when those two are playing together, you're just going to have a whole bunch of buildup. So I'll just play this. Antibiotics and them Tylenol pill. So this is with the EQ off now. The marijuana is a plant, not a... There's just a lot going on in that frequency range, so I just automate EQs. The marijuana is a plant, not a drug. It's stronger than antibiotics and them Tylenol pill. You hear how much like it just makes a nice little dip for those vocals to sit in. So I usually dip about like 4 dB out, just on the like combos of where they're sitting together. And I do that all the time where I automate EQs to make room for instruments or vocals, usually like vocals. And then you can just see that that's just the automation for that EQ. And then at the end of the acapella, I'm just sending the last little bit right here. To an H delay. H delay is pretty much like my favorite delay. It's a Waves one. That's purchased in very good value. You can do a lot with it, especially for like the kind of the dotted reggae. Roland, I turned off the auto tweets, man. Those things are so annoying, but I'll try and figure those out again. That's funny. Yeah, so H delay is definitely my go-to. Delay works great. You can like high and low pass everything. It's got lots of nice dotted triplets and dotted and triplet patterns and a lo-fi pattern. If you use it, make sure you turn this analog thing, to off. It makes noise. I mean, there's going to be uses for having it, but if you use this, I default it to off because you can hear it puts a bunch of noise in your mix. Anyways, great delay. Okay, now this track goes, and now I take little pieces of this acapella and send them through different delays. Same delay. So in the live set, I have a scratch sample right here because I actually do like a bunch of scratching over this part. So I'll put things like that, scratch samples, and when I export this to DJ, I'm exporting groups. So this whole, and you'll see like as I go through this set, it's like all these different groups of like combos and stuff. And so this is like one track. So it's a full track that has a transition and some effects that goes into the acapella, that goes into like little bits and pieces and scratch things to play with while this is going. And then here, this is my count in. So this is like the second track. So I'm mixing this into this first one when I actually DJ. But what I'm doing now is I'm making this arrangement to export like this whole set for you guys to listen to and download on the internet. This is what you'd call a studio mix. So like this part here that has a scratch sample, I'm going to mute this for now because I'm going to go to my other area later after I have all this stuff engineered like perfectly. I'll go and I'll record scratching over this and like, yeah, just like engineer that. But in a live setting, if I was playing this for you guys at a club or on my weekly show, Different Strains, every Wednesday at 6 p.m. PDT, I just do this live. But this is like the setup of doing it. Cool. So this is this acrylic track. And I'm merging these pieces that were in the previous track into this track. So these little acapellas are now merged at this point into this track because I need to get ready to mix the next track. So on average, I usually have like 10, 15 seconds between each track to get the next pieces over them. So with this one, like right here, I'm like doing a bunch of scratching with this little thing, and then I finish the scratch right here, and then it goes into this like nice 808 part. And then the acapella comes back merged into this track. And this is why I do things the way I do and how I've kind of developed my style and how I love it. Because like you can keep using pieces, and when you keep mixing things harmonically, you can bring things back and forth later down. And I'll show you guys, like there's parts of the set where the vocals are coming back and changing BPM and on different tracks and different genres. And it's just a really cool way to make mixes that are like coherent and interesting and fun. And like this is how I've always enjoyed pushing the boundaries of what's possible for music. So yeah, like usually when I'm DJing, I get my yeah, so there's my count in. So right here, I'd have a marker in Serato to know where to start mixing the next tune. So I'll mix that right now. Economic crisis. I get my marijuana anytime I want it. Nobody no feel lock up in a jail where you smoke it. You know the money me drink a cup of ganja tea. I read a couple songs, it make my mind feel. So this song is by Kotek, so we're into the third track now using this vocal. It's carried on and bridged again. And so also we were at 67 BPM right there, and now we're going up to 80. So we're doing a pretty substantial jump. So I'm going to turn off my delays here down at the bottom, and I'll open up my master. So this is where I automate all the tempo changes and everything. Now you have to be like really tricky at how you do these. Send comfort. Yes, these are all the same key. Everything's in D minor at the moment. You guys can look, you can even see on the waveforms how I like, as soon as I get music, I run everything through mixed in key. Shout out mixed in key, man. Like JPod and I started using this like 10 years ago, like mixed in key version like 3 or something, and now we're up to 8. So I run everything through mixed in key. I put it right into the file name, the tempo and the file name. And then in like Serato, it's kind of like my first like spot where the music goes after I get it. It's opening up Serato for you. This might make my computer a little laggy, but I'll just show you real quick. Come on, sweetheart. Okay, so here is my like music library. So this is like all my 2020 music. You can see everything's keyed. I can key it all super easily by tempo, so it just stays organized. And then when I get to my acapellas, I'll like go to my exclusive acapellas first, and these are all just like fast ones I grab from all my friends. And so everything's keyed, everything is organized. And then when I'm making these sets, I'm basically like running trials to like make sure everything like stays. No, sorry. When I'm making sets, I'm just like auditioning so many things, so many different acapellas, so many different tracks, all in the same keys. Doing key switches too, like you can use like different tricks to get into different keys. just using drums or just using like acapellas that aren't keyed, like hip hop acapellas and stuff like that. Check, sweet. Okay, so back to the point here, there's just this tempo change. So I'm doing the count in right here and I'm mixing these two pieces of audio live when I DJ, like when I did this on the 420 stream. These two things, this is playing on the left deck, for example, this is playing on the right deck, for example. These, they're changing tempo at the same time, both of these. So they're starting at 67 BPM, and then this is going to 75 right here, and then a big 5 BPM thing right here. So like if we just listen to this part, this transition, and pay attention to the tempo change, you kind of try and do it sneaky so people don't necessarily feel a huge tempo change. Sometimes you do it like that on purpose, but like sometimes you're trying to be sneaky with it. So.
Legalize the marijuana herb. It will cure them disease and them economic crisis. I get my marijuana anytime I want it. Nobody no feel lock up in a jail where you smoke it. You know the money me drink a cup of ganja tea. I read a couple songs, it make my mind feel so free. A split for day, heal a soul and make the devil flee. No herbalist, no for day, your quota beg them and a plea. Amsterdam, legalize it from a very long time. Know what time for the United Nations we shine. And put it in a law, the marijuana bill fi sign. Them can't stop the earth from grow. I saw it a go, tell them legalize them. Legalize them.
So then the same thing. It's like I'm using these pieces through double delays and stuff like that on the transition to a new thing. When I actually DJ'd this, I like would filter this out to kind of like hide the tempo transition a little bit more. So I'm gonna maybe play with doing that. I think just with like an EQ. So like usually I would do this on my DJ mixer, but since this is a studio mix.
From a very long time, know what time for the United Nations we shine. And put it in a law, the marijuana bill fi sign. Them can't stop the earth from.
Okay, so I'm gonna filter this down.
And put it in a law, the marijuana bill fi sign. Them can't stop the earth from grow. I saw it a go, tell them legalize them.
And then I'm gonna like put some extra effects on this, and you can also hear it clipping, and I'll sort that out. So I'll use the classic feature class explosion. This one's always good.
Sign them can't stop the earth from grow. Sign them can't stop the earth from grow. I saw it a go, tell them legalize them.
And then also like I don't want this EQ like messing with any of this song except for in this part. So I'll also just automate it on and off just for this little part. So this add lane for each automated envelope, you can see where everything is. So I'm just going to turn the EQ on right there, because you'll see even if you just have an EQ on, sometimes it'll be like distorting because this audio is running through it, even if the EQ is not doing anything. I always automate the EQs on and off just for when I need them.
United Nations we shine. And put it in a law, the marijuana bill fi sign. Them can't stop the earth from grow.
And there's like how this vocal's hitting.
And put it in a law, the marijuana bill fi sign. Them can't.
Just kind of like his swing on it, on just this syllable.
Marijuana bill fi sign. Them can't stop the earth.
There we go. See, like it's little things like that that make a huge difference. Just that the swing of his vocal right there.
And put it in a law, the marijuana bill fi sign. Them can't.
Just don't like that, so I'm gonna move it back here just to keep
bill fi
it.
sign. Them can't stop the earth from grow.
And then it's kind of same thing there.
Stop the earth from grow.
I saw someone ask if everything's warped. Yes, everything's warped for the most part. But that's a good question, and I'll show you something in a second. For the most part, I keep everything on repitch except for during tempo transitions. Okay, so I don't like his swing there. Like the herb just comes too fast, and it just kind of throws me off a bit. And then that's slow.
Stop the earth from grow. I saw we talk. Stop the earth from grow. I saw we talk. Stop the earth from grow. I saw it a go. Tell them legalize fi shine and put it in a law. The marijuana bill fi sign. Them can't stop the earth from grow. I saw it a go. Tell them legalize the bill fi sign. Them put it in a law. The marijuana bill fi sign. Them can't stop the earth from grow.
Okay, I'll probably play with that a little bit more a bit later, but just to keep things moving in the interest of time. Okay, so the other thing that we're hearing is that it's starting to clip here. So Kotek made this song, and he makes his songs so loud. He's really good at making super loud bangers. So I actually had a limiter on this just because the song was clipping for some reason, even though it's in like it's in repitch. Okay, so anyways, with the acapella and with this tune and with the EQ, I'm starting to hear it clip. Sometimes you won't hear it clip, and if you don't hear it, it's fine for the most part. So I'm just going to drag this L2. I'm just going to make a group with the tune and the acapella and the effects and everything. And now it's all... So I'll play this again without that limiter. So we'll listen. I'm turning the limiter off. If you're wearing headphones, you can hear this like kind of like clicky, distorty things. It's subtle, but it's happening still, and that's distortion because like Ableton is just getting overloaded. There's just too many things going on. There's only so much room. The song's basically 0, and then I'm putting an acapella on top of it and an explosion. Like you can't go above 0, so these things are just going to distort. So grouping these two things together, just with a fab filter L2. Put it in a law, the marijuana bill fi sign. Them can't stop the earth from grow. I saw it a go. Tell them legalize them. There, distortion gone. And this vocal's still pissing. Marijuana bill fi sign. Them can't stop the earth from grow. Can't stop the stop the earth from. Sign them can't stop the earth from grow. I saw it a go. Tell them legalize them. Perfect. Okay, got it. So we've switched tempos. We've used any tips on warping acapellas when you don't have a BP reference. Yeah, I mean warping acapellas is a skill, but the more you do it, you're gonna get really good at it. For the most part, like if you don't have like you should be able to hear the beat and tempo of the acapella in your head. Like you should be able to just be like clap along with it, you know, where those kicks and snares should be. And if you don't know, just go on YouTube and find the original song that the acapella is, and then you'll be able to see like where the drums are. So you just want to reference where that first kick is, where the first snare is, and basically you can easily warp it past that. Okay, so we're into the third tune. And we're up to 80 BPM now. Now, usually I must have decided it wasn't necessary. So there's this EQ, kind of same thing, just pulling out volume. So usually I would EQ, these little brown pieces are the vocals from the song, from the previous song, from the Legalize. So I'll just usually automate that EQ just for those people, just for those vocal hits. Just more proper gain staging and making your mix as good as possible sonically. Oh, shit. Yo! I was automating the wrong EQ, so I'm going to copy that automation. I'm going to delete it because that was for this high pass one, which I don't want. And this is the EQ I want. This is the Q3, just dipping out some frequencies. And I'll use the Ableton filter EQ to do this as well. Okay, now you'll see that this EQ turns on right here. Just for that one part, just to let that vocal through. And you can see that this acapella is getting sent to like different delays. I have like different delay amounts that I'm doing just for variation to keep staying. Okay, and then so this acapella, the Legalize, it's finally kind of like had its day, and we're moving on to the next one, which is the faded acapella. Baby, I'm wasted. Okay, but I start bringing it in just in little pieces, I remember. Yeah, the legalized does come back, but this kind of just comes in for a bit. Also, good to note, it's all the same key. Everything's in D minor still.
Tell them.
I just flipped to my desktop real fast just to show you guys. I have the Camelot key wheel for mixing key just built into my desktop. And then this is like a transposition keyboard that I made just with all the minor keys. So this is like when I'm trying to look for acapellas and stuff. Right now we're in 7A, D minor. If I don't have acapellas that are in the right key, I'll maybe try a 2A, like a D sharp minor, and then you just have to transpose it down one semitone to get it into D minor. So I'll do that sometimes, but these are all in D. It's not transposed. So we go from the blessed, legalized, into the wasted acapella, faded acapella, yeah. Here's the countdown where I start mixing. It was just, but I don't need that now.
Tell them legalize the marijuana herb. It will cure them disease and them economic crisis. I get my.
So this needs to come up in a little bit, and I'm going to put all of these like for DJ mix purposes. Like when I was DJing these come at the end of this track, and I've mixed in, this is the new track that's coming in. So I want them separated on two different tracks because I can adjust the volume and adjust the EQs, and I can pull the volume out like in like, you know, kind of put on a show or do some scratching or whatever. But now that I'm engineering this in like studio mix format, I'm going to throw these two down into this one, and I'm going to put so annoying, fab filters like don't come search for them. Anyways, throw a limiter on here because same kind of thing, we're just
legalize the marijuana herb. It will cure them disease and them economic crisis.
And kind of the easy cheat with throwing a limiter on this group like this is that if I push up the vocal, it's kind of gonna kind of turn down this song until it's done, and then when the vocal's done, it's gonna let this track come back up again really fast. So, and also at the same time, just like I've EQ'd out the vocal,
legalize the marijuana herb.
I'll play it without it.
Legalize the marijuana herb. It will cure them disease and them economic crisis.
I can probably pull this one out a bit more. Okay, so kind of how you can know where to pull things out. You know, I either do two things. I mostly do this. So I'll have the vocal playing and I'll have the tune that I'm playing it on top of, both playing at the same time. And I'll jam up the EQ to find where it smashes the most.
Legalize the marijuana herb. It will cure them disease and them economic crisis.
So right there is where I hear it clashing the most. So I'll pull that down.
It will cure them disease and them economic crisis. I get my marijuana anytime I want it. Nobody no feel lock up in a jail where you smoke it. Free up the marijuana herb. It will cure them disease and them economic crisis. I get my marijuana anytime I want it. Nobody no feel lock up in a jail where you plant it.
Okay, so there we go into drum and bass transitions. So just for a quick recap, and I mean, we're half an hour into this kind of tutorial thing already. In real time when I'm DJing, this is less than 5 minutes, all this has happened. 3 different tracks. 4 different tracks. 2 different acapellas, a bunch of samples, all within 5 minutes. So these things are happening so fast, but it's just like a really nice, sweet. I love this set. Like I'm really stoked on it. I'm stoked to put it out. And when you listen to it, you know, all you guys who watched this, I hope you could just kind of appreciate a little bit more maybe how much work goes into this. And it's not like I just sat down and I was like, oh yeah, let me just take like the legalized tune and mix it straight into this Acrylis tune and jump up the tempo to the Kotek tune and then jump up to Millbrook Broken Love. It probably took me like 5 or 6 hours to figure out these 4 tracks. Maybe. I don't know. I can't remember. Maybe I did it sooner. I'm getting faster at it for sure. And like my intuition's getting better and better at how I make these things. But like it takes a long time to figure these out. So don't get discouraged. Like I've probably tried so many different D&B tracks into this Millbrook before, like in place of this Millbrook, but it worked perfectly.
Legalize the marijuana. You know, be locked up in a jail when you plant it.
Okay, so one thing, I want this delay on the end of this vocal to last way longer. So I'll just watch which delay that this is pumping out to. So it's this one. So I'm going to go into this H delay. I'm going to go to the automation. I'm going to open it up. I'm going to go to the feedback, and I'm just going to automate. I'm going to automate just the feedback, and I'm not going to just turn up the feedback because I don't necessarily want the feedback to always be going for a super long time. I just want it to be going for just these bars maybe. It's lasting as long as I want it now, but I think this send is a little bit too much, so check out. So I'm going to turn down the send. I just want it to blend. There's that girl voice that comes in on the Millbrook tune, and I just want it to blend super nicely with that. And then at the same time, right on this drop, that EQ that I had automated to make room for this vocal turns off. Okay, on to the next one. We're at drum and bass now. Acapella for Legalized comes back, and then into the Zoo faded. So when I'm DJing, I would do that sort of thing, like a filter sweep or like drop it out, you know, and really accentuate that I'm like mixing two things and making this combo. So still that acapella, that Legalized, still coming back. Okay, and then when I'm actually DJing, I'm dropping the acapella live on the second track. And then so like the next track that comes in is this Giganti track, Ram Records, I believe, super huge fat tune. It has this intro with these sounds. This Giganti tune is like so loud, like super, super loud compared to the Millbrook one. So like I just took these little pieces of this song. There's like this little hat, but like playing it, mixing it over top of this is just like, it doesn't work. So I just sampled this little hat from this tune and then turned it down. If you look over here, -4.9. So this hat is like -5. And then, so we got the acapella, we have the hat from this tune. And then at this one part, there's just this Reese, which is from this song. And then I'll like filter down this one when I'm mixing it live. So you'll hear it all come in now. That acapella is still coming back. I'd do something like that DJing. Now we got that hat sample. We got the acapella, the Millbrook. The EQ's on, making room for it. And then we're back. So acapella is on like 7 songs now, but when you're listening, we're at 6 minutes 50 seconds of this mix. So it seems like I've been like showing you guys this for so long, but literally it's like as long as one trance song if you're like going and trancing in Ibiza. And we've played like 7 songs and like 5 acapellas or whatever. Okay, one important thing I want to note. So you'll see down here, there's like this kind of micro tempo change from 86 to 87. That's because this Millbrook track is 86 BPM and this Giganti song is 87. So as I make my edits and stuff, all these things will be in complex, like acapellas, and this one is in complex because I'm not playing it at the native tempo. But as soon as the track drops, I'll always, for the most part, have it in repitch. So down here you can see repitch, and that's because that is playing it with no warping. Basically, it's just playing. It's playing at its full quality, much like if you just turned it off from warp. If it's unwarped, this is basically what repitch is doing. Only at the native tempo though. So with repitch, if I turn the tempo up, it's actually changing it like a vinyl record player would, but because I have automated it to be at the native tempo of what the song is, it's playing it at the best quality possible. So Millbrook Broken Love, same thing. We're at 86 BPM for the drop, and then this transition where I do this, that's in complex because it's changing tempo. And if I had it on repitch like the rest of the song, it's going to drift from like the key center of D and not be like harmonized with this acapella. Even though 1 BPM is a small amount for like the harmony and key to drift, it's still a little bit, and to me, unacceptable. So you keep this in Pro, in Complex Pro, which keeps the pitch. So like, yeah, if you've used Ableton, you understand what I mean. So, and like kind of back here, see, this is in complex because we're changing tempo. And then as soon as we get to the native tempo of this song, it's in repitch. And every single mix combo that I do is like that because I'm trying to keep the optimal, optimal quality of the song. And then, so we got more automation for the vocals. Now the 2 vocals, the legalize and the faded vocal, are playing back and forth off each other. Here's the count in for the next mix, which is a feature cast tune. Now, when I DJ this live, I drop the volume of this, maybe like 1 or 2 dB just to make room. This track, La La La, it's a bootleg FeatureCast made. It's definitely not as loud in like the RMS compared to this Giganti one. Sounds great, it's awesome, but so I just need to kind of like adjust for that. So I'm just going to drop a utility onto the Giganti tune. I never automate the actual volumes of tracks. Like for this one up here, I have it at -4.9 just because it's like a solid staying there, and it's just like, it's not a full track, it's just a sample that I'm keeping there. But to actually automate things, I'm going to just use a utility. And so right here, I'll just drop a quick like 2. Because we're just gain staging, you know, this is what I would do when I normally mix it. And then I also have this EQ because there's all these frequencies coming in on the FeatureCast song. These mids and, you know, from the hats and all that shit. And this song is like super compressed. And I just want to like pull some of those like mids out to let the drums and the sample and FeatureCast tune come through. Okay, I see a couple questions here. So, D&B tempos here are halved. Yeah, so I almost always warp at 87.5 for like 175. You'll see later if we get there. Sometimes, depending on like how I'm doing tempo transitions, like if I'm doing a tempo transition from house to D&B, I'll have to warp at 175 if I'm going from like 130 up to 175. You'll see there's like a combo that I'm going to import from another session, and we'll like do all this, kind of all these tempo changes and stuff are done already. But I have this whole combo in this set that is in another DJ set. And I just like exported the whole audio of that into this set, but I'm going to bring all those combos into this session and redo all the tempo changes just to show you guys like how to do that if you're not super familiar, and I think you'll see that. And then I'm seeing foreign a D&B when I DJ tunes to export all the tempo changes. Yes, because basically I'm mixing things that are changing tempo together all the time, and usually way more tempo than like what a turntable can do. So you're limited to +8 and -8, and like my analogy here is like I'm driving fucking sports cars when I'm DJing. I'm trying to do like the most complicated, coolest thing for the listener and pushing music as far as I can go. Automate like pushing 2 turntables at the same time to like try and do a tempo change is just like a waste of my time and energy. Like I grew up spinning vinyl in 2004 and 5, and like I spun on vinyl for like 5-10 years. It's a pain in the ass, like here all the hard work is like figuring out the combos and these sets and how to like push music as far as I can push it with like these combos and stems and acapellas and genre changes and tempo changes and everything. So like for me to like, it would be impossible to manually do the tempo changes in some circumstances. I'm sure I could like, to not export the tempo changes would just be so much extra, completely unnecessary work. So yeah, all the tempo changes get baked in because basically when I'm DJing, I'm composing a set that I've orchestrated and created. Thank you for the question, Foreign. No, when we leave anything specific for. Okay, so I'll keep going. So, yeah, we're just into. So we're back to the zoo acapella. So if you don't notice, like I bridge all my transitions with the acapellas. It's just a nice way to keep things going and like keep a theme going. And then we go to the feature cast in. Just pouring myself a coffee. Nice one. Hey, just want to say thanks to everyone who's tuned in. I hope you're getting something out of this. I'm having a really good time. I used to be a teacher a long time ago before I became a full-time musician. I taught at a school called the Center for Arts and Technology in Kelowna. I really love doing it. And yeah, it's nice to connect with you guys, and I hope you're getting something out of it. I'll just say I have Patreon, patreon.com/stickybuds if you guys are interested in supporting the weekly show I do, or I have private lessons available, or you can get my whole catalog or anything like that. It's there for if you want to check that out. No stress at all, though. So this feature cast tune. This is just a totally hard tempo and key change. It was 420, and it was definitely time to play some Snoop Dogg. So here's a super sick jam by my homie Caleb. The day that I played this was the day that this song came out. So big up Caleb. And then this is just like, that's another like little acapella sample from one of Caleb's like old songs that I like was scratching over this. So I export that out and do some scratching, and I'll have to re-record all that. So there's a count in, so mute that, and then we go into this Opio tune. Okay, so like when I actually mix this, I'd have this Opio tune like way, way, way quieter. So I'll just automate all that. Dun, 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 dun. I might as well just throw a utility here on Klabs. So here, let's get. Basically, I'm just gonna fade these two things in and out. So I'll come down here on the gain. This curve. And like there's an explosion kick boom at the start of this Opio tune, so I've just knocked out the low end on that because there's same thing on the Klab drop. Into the reason that these two are separated is that like Klab was sending me like different versions of this master, and I had done this transition and I had to like warp it to kind of like do it a certain way. So this is like the new version Caleb sent me, and then I just kept this from an old version because it was fine and didn't really matter. Caleb really writes loose drums, and a lot of his stuff doesn't hit on the ones because he's just so damn funky. So sometimes it's a bit of a mission getting his things to warp nicely. And that's good. Okay, so same key. Now we're at F minor, 4A down here. F minor. Okay, so I'm gonna load this up. Why don't we do a quick save? Save early, save often, save heartbreak. That's what my old computer teacher, Mr. Barker, said in primary school. Okay. Okay, so yeah, just pretty much like automated what I would do. Set. So I'm like bringing the volume down of these, bringing the volume up from the OPO, bringing the volume down from the Klab, scooping out a bit of the lows and a bit of the highs as we get right to the end. Want to hear go a little bit, finish the phrase. Yeah, so I have a delay. I want it to hit that higher octave. So I want to see delay right here, but it's a quarter note delay, so I just want it to hit on this last bit. If you like. If you like. It could kind of go if you like. Yeah. Cool. So if you like. So optimally, what I would want to do in this situation, how my brain works, and I bugged Klab for the acapella. I'm not sure where it is. I mean, he just kind of used the samples from the Snoop Dogg to make this tune. I would get the instrumental from OPO or find another part of the song that maybe has this build up that doesn't have this vocal. even though it's like a sweet vocal and I totally like that, I would try and like stay coherent with the samples and stuff and maybe use a Snoop part that goes, guess who's back in the mother, you know what I'm saying? And use that over this part before the drop instead of Opio's vocal. And Opio's been very gracious to hook me up with stems and acapellas as the years have gone on, and I'll probably reach out maybe to get that. And then it's the Snoop going into this next drop. So, but that's good enough for now. So there's that little acapella piece from Caleb's tune again, because I was just doing more scratching in the live set. So I'll mute that for now. And I'll put maybe like a little marker here that is like scratch, just so I know when I'm kind of like done all the engineering of all the mixes and everything, I can go back and look, and there'll be a whole bunch of like lists of spots to do scratch and stuff. Let me just take a look at the comments here. James Caxmar talking about the hi-hat clip. Yeah, that's basically what I'm using to like mix. So I'll have a mix point in track A at, the last 16 beats before I want to start mixing. I'll just have this hi-hat click track here. And I just use that instead of like, I don't know, duplicating this or something like that. It's just a click works so much better, especially like when I'm DJing in like super loud clubs or raves or whatever, like, and I'm like, these mixes are happening so fast. Like sometimes this one I had a bit of time, but like sometimes I have like 10 seconds to like get the next thing going, or like 5 seconds or 2 seconds or whatever. So I'm just like going for precision. I need everything to be like perfectly in time. So a hi-hat click track basically just lets me like bang right into where I need to be. I can hear the transients of that hat and the transients of the drums that I'm mixing over very easily. And just make sure everything is in time going into the next spots. So these were the same tempos and everything. 101. Oh, okay. So here's a good thing to point out too. So Opio's track was actually a bit slower. You never really want to drop BPMs like 2 or 3, because like it really feels like you slowed down or you lost energy. So the good thing about speeding up is that you can use beats mode. I think I was talking to Ski Tour about this a while ago. I'm not sure. But anyways, you can use beats mode. So to speed up this Opio tune to make it at the same tempo as the Caleb tune, they're only 3 BPM off. I'll put it in beats mode, and when you go to beats mode normally, it'll have transients and it'll have back and forth mode on here. When I'm speeding something up, I'm going to put it, depending on the genre, but usually 8s works for most things. It's tricky sometimes for D&B, depending on the tune, and then going forward. So that means it's just like when there's like an 8th note, if I go to the grid here, the 8th notes, that means every 8th note, because I'm speeding up this track by 3 BPM faster than it actually is, or maybe like, it says 98. Whatever, we'll just say 3 or 4 BPM. Because I'm speeding it up, like this hit on the 8th note is actually coming faster. There's more audio there. And I'm basically like cutting these 8th notes and making them shorter. And so what this mode is doing is it's just cutting off that extra information and letting this next 8th note come faster. So it's just cutting it off. The transients are still nice and clean, instead of having it in repitch to preserve the quality, but the pitch is going to be messed up because it's 3 BPM faster. Or complex. What complex is trying to do is take all this information and just squeeze it and make it faster, but you lose quality when you do that. You don't want to do that. You want to use beats, and you want to use going forward. And you can hear kind of like how that algorithm's doing it. If I slow it down, you'll hear the 8th note separation. So that's slowing it down, where it's just playing these 8th notes and it's spacing them really out, because all it's doing is taking 8th notes. And when I pull it out, like the tempo way down, there's all this extra room. So The opposite, when I speed it up, is it's condensing it and just cutting off the extra bars. So now watch what happens when I speed it up with this algorithm. And you actually get into like these swingy triplet things. My homie Slink did a really cool tutorial on like actually like taking trap tunes, and you can put them up to like 99 BPM. There's like a math formula you do to figure out like the triplet variation of using an eighth note forward, this algorithm, whatever you want to call it. And you can take a trap tune and turn it into like 100 BPM triplet swing thing. And you could hear this Opio tune starting to do this. Like you get all these cool things. It's a neat thing to experiment, but if you got to speed things up, use the eighth note beats forward algorithm, then you're not losing quality. You're only cutting audio information. Things tight. Okay. Moving forward. Okay, so this tune, I kind of like do some scratching and stuff like that. And then there's this nice break. So right here, I did a big scratching thing with one of my acapellas, the Firestarter acapella.
Welcome the Firestarter.
And just for all you producers out there, there's a producer tier in my Patreon called Producer. And I'm going to be like giving away stems and samples and acapellas. So Firestarter is going to be one of the first things everyone gets on June 1st when the first Patreon date rolls around, stems and of the whole tune, the acapella, everything. So you can like make DJ mixes like this and start adding some stems to your collection and stuff like that. I'm going to give, there'll be more than just that, but that's going to be one of the things that's coming out. So check that out if you're interested. So what I do with this is at this whole part of the song, I do like a scratch solo for this part. And then at this point, I drop the acapella.
Welcome the Firestarter. Welcome the Firestarter. Welcome the Firestarter.
Same thing, dropping out the EQ to make room for it. This one I feel actually I didn't really super need to do. Excuse me.
Welcome the Firestarter.
Yeah, it still benefits from it.
Fire, fire, it's burning hot. Can't get away, me serve the freedom in a park. Fire, fire, it's burning hot. Can't get away, we have the freedom to attack. Bona, fire, fire, call the system corrupt. Bona, fire, fire, call them run out of luck. Bona, fire, fire, call the truth must be told. Bona, fire, fire, call we never get cold. Bona, Stickybuds.
Okay, so this was like a transition thing where I play the acapella and then I merge in this combo. So this is where we get, so this huge purple file is this big combo that I've been playing for a long time. It's kind of been like a staple in all my sets all around the world on tour and stuff for the last like year or two. But I built it in another Ableton session. And then when I made this 420 set, all of these things, you know, pretty much all this stuff, for the most part was new stuff. And then like this combo was in another session. And sometimes it's just like such a pain to like import combos from other sessions because you have like different delays, setups on your sends, or like sometimes like I'll have all my stuff, like if it's D&B stuff, everything's D&B warped at like 88 or 87.5. And then in the other session, for whatever reason, it's warped at 175 because of like the transitions and stuff. And that's the case in this. But I'm going to go and I'm going to import it all into this session and I'm going to redo all the tempo changes and stuff. What's up, Slinky? What's up? I see a couple hellos from people. It's nice to see all you guys. So I'm going to import all this stuff from another session and show you how to do that. And I'll redo all the timing and go through all that. And it might take a little bit. And there's one really tricky part here because there's this culprit song in here. Yeah, so basically like this whole audio piece, it's not mixed properly. It's mixed in like how I would DJ it. So like the levels aren't done. So that's why I need to bring it into this session and do all the levels properly. But it's just a timing reference because the set that I did on 420 was an hour exactly. So I needed to like be perfect with the timing. So without further ado, let's go open up this other session. So this is, let's save this. While we're doing this, if any of you guys got questions or anything or want to talk about it, because this will take us a second to load, I'm happy to talk about anything that I've gone over so far. Nice to see all you guys. What's up, Liam? Enzymes. Roland Rizles. Forna DMB, Ninja Boy. Birch Hill, what's up? Send Comfort. This just Dan. How do you add the scratches? Yeah, so I'm gonna like go to my decks in like another part of my studio, and I'll record scratches into this session for the studio mix, and I'll just put them on like that. Have you ever used any programs other than Ableton in the past, and if so, yeah. What's up, Glitch Son? When I went to audio school in 2004, we learned Pro Tools and Logic and Reason. Pro Tools was amazing for audio editing, but sucked for any kind of MIDI production. Logic was amazing for MIDI production, but sucked for audio editing. And did I say Logic? I meant Logic on that last one. And Reason was really cool for like synthesis and sound design, but in my opinion, sucked for MIDI and audio editing. And then Ableton came along, and Ableton was amazing. Ableton's amazing for audio editing. Ableton is amazing for MIDI. Ableton's amazing for sound design. And Ableton's amazing for like set engineering like this. Like you can do so many things with Ableton. So like I've used the majority of the DAWs to like a pretty high level, and just like for my workflow and how I like engineering, doing things, just like there's no comparison. Ableton by far the best. Okay, so this is this other session that has all these combos that I just exported as one file just for the timing. So all of these have their own tempo changes and stuff, and there's actually like some pretty complicated parts. So there's like this culprit track. Now, like, I mean, that doesn't sound amazing right there just because like the levels aren't done and everything's playing at once, but it's all timed out right for me to like DJ it. So this culprit track in itself, in the track, has a tempo change. It starts out, This Nightmares in Reality VIP, which is a super amazing tune. It starts at 110 BPM and then it goes to 125 BPM. So if you're making tempo changes in your mixes, it's just like, it's an interesting wrench that gets thrown in the equation, because you can't like, I mean, you could warp their track to the original tempo and somehow keep warping things and figure out they are going to use a different tempo change curve than you are going to in your DAW. So the best thing to do basically is just to unwarp the tempo change. Where is it? Down the street with like a fuck dream. Nightmares in reality. So this is right here where I go 110 to 125. I have this warped here at 110. Does it go? Yeah, so basically it's not, I have it warped still. Yeah. Okay, I have it warped still, but just kind of like the default warping of how the song is. It's not actually warped to 110. And you can see that when I take the warping off, these don't change. And you can see that they're not like a fuck dream. You can see here like the kicks are starting to become faster where the bar markers are, and this is where that tempo change is happening. But it's not, I haven't actually warped it. It's just defaulted in there. And then when it comes up, I do a hard tempo change from 110 to 125. Okay, I'm just going to import all this and go over it again. And then like this culprit track, I like mix into a feature cast tune. Nightmares in reality. And then I have the instrumental and the acapella from feature cast of this Keep on Jumping tune he did. And then I go from 125 to 174 for the drum and bass kind of combo. And then I resample the flutes from the Culprit Nightmares in Reality that drops over this like hypnotic, I think it's Inside Info, I believe, are the guys who made this track. So it goes from like 110 to 125 to 170 in like 40 seconds or whatever. So anyways, I'm going to import all of these edits into the master session because I need to like do the actual like proper mix of everything. So there's a few ways to do it. I'd say probably the easiest way is just to select all the stuff you want to bring in from your set to another one. So it's going to go all the way from here to the culprit one, and then there's this to this proud acapella to these. So from there, here, I'm gonna put it into a group. I'm gonna import this on there, and I'm just gonna save that. And I'm just gonna pay attention that what this session's called, last 30 Halloween 420 edit. Halloween 2017, there's like, I have sessions that I'm like constantly re-engineering and putting in new songs and just using bits and pieces for like years. So yeah, that's kind of how some of these sessions go, and multiple versions of them. So I'm going to go back to my 420 Spring 2020. Liam, I export every group into their own pieces. So like I'm always playing track to track on 2 different decks, but each track will just have like an acapella intro or outro or tempo change or things like that. Yeah, Gully Teen, are you mixing live? Yeah, I'm mixing live. I'll do a lot of like the volume, all these volume automations that I'm putting in now, and some of the EQ automations I'll do live on the DJ mixer. Like, to be perfectly honest, it'd be so much easier to just export this whole set and go press play and dance around and drink booze while I DJ. But like my DJ morals just dictate that I want to like be doing something up there, so I'm mixing it. And like I said before, is like the hard part of my sets and is the engineering, is figuring out the combos, is figuring out the transitions, getting the stems. Like not everyone can just like get all the acapellas and samples and everything. Like this is from my network of friends and homies and like some DIY stuff that I do, like with phase cancellation and stuff like that. So like the art is in the creation of the set. The playing of it is the payoff, because I get to play it. Huge sound system, surrounded by my friends and people I love, and like, having a great time. And even though we're in this COVID era at the moment and the parties aren't happening, I get to do it every Wednesday on my show, and my friends all around the world are tuning in, and I still get to do it. So like the payoff is playing it, and I'm, just make sure it's like relatively easy, but I need to like remember, 60 or 70 different cues throughout a 1 hour set, and do scratching and do like, make sure everything, I don't miss a cues, because everything has to perfectly line up and drop at the exact right time. I hope that answers your question. But a lot of the volume stuff I'll do on the mixer. Tempo transitions I'll bake into the sets. Sometimes just a thing like if there's an like explosion and I'm mixing like, and there's a big like kick bass explosion, I'll just like high pass. Yeah, I'll just high pass that and bake that in, so I don't have to worry about that, just because there's so many things on. Gully Teen, I played on CDJs for 1 year in about 2007. I had a Newmark CDX and a Pioneer CDJ 1000, and they both sucked. And then Serato came out, and then I've been Serato ever since, and Rain ever since. And I love turntables. I really never want to switch. I just like really enjoy feeling the records and mixing and scratching, and I don't days or anything else really. Maybe I'll like incorporate some Ableton stuff in the future, so I can do more like scratching and stuff, but we'll see. Okay, back to this. So this old set with new bits 420, like I engineered all that stuff because it was easier in the other session, and then I just exported it and brought it into this session and then built out from there after that. So what I need to do now is bring in that other session and redo all the tempo stuff, because basically I just like had this unwarped and then just built out from it from there. So now this is going to be a mission for sure, but these, it'll be a good learning for you guys who haven't done this kind of stuff much. So I'm going to go to my Ableton sessions, turn off that search, set preps 2020, and it was the Halloween your thing 420 edits. Open that up, and then I should have a group. When you open up the sessions, you can see all your groups and tracks, and you can bring them into other tracks. So here's my group, import this. Now this has all the stuff I want to import. If I didn't put them all into a group, I'd have to be like, oh, I need that group and that group and that track and that track and this track. But now everything I need is just in this one group. I'm going to bring it into Ableton. I'm holding my finger on the mouse. This is where I want to put it, underneath this new bits export. And it's going to bring everything in. And I'm missing Soothe, but that's because I got Soothe 2. Soothe is a great plugin if you didn't know. Okay, so here is, I'm going to smaller. Here is all these things. So everything in the group now. Okay, so now first thing I need to do is get the timing of where this starts right. So I'm just going to go highlight all this stuff in this group. Goes from there to there. So the first most important part is I'm going to do a couple of things. I'm going to this is going to go farther than it's supposed to because the tempo changes aren't right, and mostly because of that culprit track. And I have all these tempo automations and stuff over here. And I have this so this is the tempo automation for the rest of the set, because it goes in the house, and then I'm double timing for DMB and stuff like that. So what I'm going to do, just because I don't want to mess up any of this stuff at the moment, this is the transition point with this acapella. I'm just going to go here, and I'm going to go create, insert silence, and I'm going to put 400 bars of extra silence into this session for now. And that just moves all the stuff I have way down there. So I'm not going to mess any of it up at the moment while I'm trying to fix and get this old section into the new set. So I'm going to come here. And then another good thing to do just for ease of use is to put a marker, even though this one's pretty easy. Sometimes it's not, is just put a marker where you need that track to start. And this set starts with my track to your thing. Now, so I'm going to go and I'm going to grab everything, because all these tracks in the new combo are relative to each other. They all have an exact timing for the most part of how they need to go, but you can see everything's separated and messed up because of the timing changes. But I'm going to grab it anyways. Time to start putting in the hard work. So let's grab it all. Bump and hustle music. So this needs to go right there. But I need to make sure it's the kick that hits on there, which is there. And you can see I'm moving everything all at once. Now, for the most part, I'm just trying to get this perfect. Pick right on there. Yeah. Good, they're phasing, that's what I want. So basically it's just time to turn this off. I can keep it as a reference, but I don't really need this anymore. So now what I need, all these things are, okay, bump and hustle music isn't warped. It doesn't really need to see where I'm at. So this is at 105. Okay, so it's looking like when I created the set, everything's a little bit off. So that's the case. Just need to move all these things and everything needs to get. So I'm just going to make sure, see if everything's just a little bit slightly off. Yeah, looks like everything's slightly off. So I need to not move that. Come down. Here, move everything so it's on the grid. Colors right there, shouldn't be there. If you heard like my Shambhala mix from a few years ago, you would have heard this combo, but these are like two of my favorite tracks that I ever did. Is Bump and Hustle Music, bootleg I made, and then my remix for K-Lab for Pull Up is also one of my favorite tunes. So yeah, so kind of like before, first I just need to make sure the timing's right. Okay, so that was the little intro. Okay, that's messed up because that's there at the moment. Just gonna turn all these off. So these are like some kind of dub plates I got cut from Blackout for 420, which is up here.
Right here, classical, run with him, road boy. Bums gang road boy, come again. Big up Shambhala 420 them.
And that's like Blackout is the guy I've been working with for years on all my Shambhala mixes. And like he's the vocalist in Firestarter. So I just got him to do like a dub plate shout out. Little jingle for the 420 set, just because it goes from Blackout to Blackout into like old tune that I've done. Okay, so old set thing. So now we go into Bump and Hustle Music. We got that. K-Lab Pull Up remix. So like when you like do these timing changes and stuff, sometimes like and import it, it's cutting things shorter and longer depending. Okay, so this is like the instrumental. I'm gonna rip through this kind of fast. How long are we at? Hour and 20 minutes. Sweet. You guys enjoying the lesson so far? I hope you guys are getting something out of this. So instrumental, full version, acapella. Into these. I'm just gonna fix all these. Okay, so I'm just going back and forth between the full version with vocals that I did for K-Lab and then the instrumental because I have these little James Brown bits over that, which I usually do scratching on when I mix it live. And then so we go into Feature Cast's bootleg of Come On, which is a Grizz tune. So, okay, so here's the first tempo change I got to put in. So this track, we're going from 105 BPM. It says 104 right here because K-Lab made the original pull-up tune at 104 BPM for whatever funky reason K-Lab did that, you know. Let's stick to 5s and 10s, please. But anyway, so this says 104, but my remix I made 105, and then I'm mixing up to 110 BPM. So you'll see that these sections of the Feature Cast remix, these are complex because I'm going to be going up in tempo. And then on the drop, repitch. So that means right now at 105, this sounds messed up because it's playing super pitch down. So what we need to do is put in this, start automating the tempo. And then we're going to go from where we're starting, 105, to where we're going, which is 110. Ableton, now you can just right click 110 BPM. So now, oops. And I have a little piece of acapella. So tell me. And I'll usually like drop out the beat when I'm mixing live. So we're going here. So when I'm mixing this live, I'd usually pull out some like mids and stuff to make room for the vocal. But there's a whole bunch of stuff going on here. So I got this EQ sitting here already, not doing anything. So I'm gonna do like, you know, like what I said before, you can push up the EQ to find where those frequencies are going, or you could do something like open up span, solo the acapella, and just go, you know. So we're looking here in this like 600 to 1K range, or so I can just do that. You know, it's almost always in this kind of range for clarity of vocals. So I'll just dip that. Turn it off. Do you see how you can hardly hear the vocals? They're not clear with the EQ off. You gotta always like make room for that. It's just, I mean, like I would do this for this mix because I didn't bake it in, but I would just do that on the DJ mixer, just pull out the mids, couple dB, but you know, so I'm gonna automate this. So I'm turn this EQ off. I'm just gonna have it for right here. As soon as the acapella is done, I'm gonna turn the EQ off. And like, you can't really hear that it's happening if you do it right. So like as a listener, when people listen to this mix, they're just hearing this vocal sitting over top of this thing. They're not like, oh wow, he EQ'd it really nicely so that the vocal sits on it. It's just like, that's just something you do as an engineer and as a DJ, you know, for your listeners, so it sounds good. We're going from 105 to 110. So I have different delays set up in that other section. So now I need to, because I've imported all these into this new session, I need to make sure my like delays are doing what they're supposed to. Trying to be respectful. Want it a little bit longer. It's pretty much good enough, but I'll just automate that. Feedback just a little bit more for fun. Just a little bit. So tell me. There we go. So tell me. That's just maybe a little bit loud. So tell me. So tell me. Can't see whoever's name that is. Do I ever use track spacer? I don't know what that is. Is that like a LFO tool or something like that? Okay, so it goes into this feature cast tune and then this wobble thinking tune. So I used to make this combo. I used to play this wobble thinking track after this feature cast one all the time. Okay, so what I would do when I mix it live, have the bass cut on the mixer up until this point right here when the vocal comes in. So I'm just gonna low pass it. Yeah, I can just low pass it and turn the EQ off. I just do all this on the mix knobs, but oop, that's it. This. And then kind of like sing. Put an EQ, so like this wobble tune has like these vocals coming in. Let me just like check out the okay, so like basically we need to cut some mids, which I've done. Oh, interesting. Oh, I thought it didn't sound like it had the right impact. Okay, so I have the EQ on. So turn that. This needs to be on. This needs to be off. So tell me. So tell me. That sounds better. Okay, now the EQ's off. this EQ, I'm just going to automate. Well, actually, I could probably do, yeah, I can do the same thing. I don't need two. So I'm going to delete that one. I'm going to turn this one back on here. But what I'm going to do is this. So I got that. And I'm going to automate the gain of these mids. So that it's actually like, I'm going to replicate as if I was turning the mids down slowly. I like this. Okay, I'm going to do it a little bit. And then maybe like and automate the cue. Now, I don't actually, I use just this because these two sound really nice mixed together. I just use the start of this wobble tune to actually go into a That's a Joint, That's a Jam bootleg that Slink did. I don't know if he's in here still, but you could read the name of this edit. Slink did this a really long time ago, and I just had it. It was a great one to play on 420. That's the Joint, That's a Jam, Black Eyed Peas. Black Eyed Peas were great before Fergie, and I guess she's gone now. So we're back to some good Black Eyed Peas music again, hopefully. Anyways, Slink made this Black Eyed Peas bootleg, and I hit him up for a better quality version because he like had done it so long ago, and he didn't have one. But like I think he had originally written it at 112 BPM, I think. Something like that. Maybe 115, I can't remember. But it was the only song in this little section that was higher, so I was having to like do this tempo transition up and then back down again, and it was super pain in the ass. And I had asked him for like the original sample, and I got him to bounce out all this stuff for me. So what he sent me, I was like, can you just like re-export the whole song at 110? And so the name of this track is Slink, That's the Jam on it, Volume 3, almost no vocals. Yeah, because I got him to like take the vocals out. 2 effing BPM slower for Princess Tyler. This is how a lot of my friends feel about me around Shambhala time, because I'm like, hey, can I get the stems to your track? But like, thank you for sending them, but can you actually send them again with the reverb off the guitar? And can you separate the vocal harmonies from your acapellas, because they're just clashing with like the thing I need to do. I'm like that for like 2 months. I'm actually like that all the time. And I really love my friends for sending them to me, because it just really lets me execute nice mixes like what I'm trying to show you guys. So big up Slink. So we automated the EQ and stuff here. Okay, sweet. So yeah, so it goes into this break. Now on the 420 set, I just got on the microphone because this was supposed to happen exactly at 420. And it was a little bit, if you look down here at the timeline, 20 seconds, or 20 minutes, sorry, 20 minutes, 40 seconds. My set started at 4. So this was supposed to be, this was the 420 montage. Now, I'm going to find some kind of sample to put in here, but I won't do that with you guys. Yeah, that's the joint. Because that's going to, it's going to take me a while to figure out what I want to put there. But what I did do, I did a whole bunch of cool stuff. Now, if you guys haven't checked out Spleeter and things like that, it's like this AI algorithm. I'll put a link up, at some point, or you can actually go find it. But go check out Spleeter. It's basically like this like AI computer algorithm people have been working on. Mr. Bill's girlfriend, Zan, she like has built a Max for Live patch. I haven't explored that, but I've been using this like online resource where you can upload files, and it basically like makes DIY acapella and stems for you to varying results. Most of the time I'll say it doesn't sound very good, but every now and then you can pull out some little bits, and I've been exploring more and more with it. So yeah, Mary Jane was one of the first ones. And so that part was baked into the tune, and then I actually did some scratching with the Black Eyed Peas vocal. That's the jam. Turn that up, play it again. That's the joint. And this is why I got Slink to send me the instrumental. I think, yeah, like I got him to take some vocals out so I could play all these different acapellas over it. Turn out the jam. It's the joint. So these are all different songs about weed. They were all in different keys, I believe. Yeah, so like here when I was talking about like transposing and using this little like tree or this keyboard wheel for transposing that I use. So we're in 4A, so we're in F minor. And this acapella, just weed, which just for the record, I actually made this acapella from a rhythm that I got somewhere, and I phase canceled all the different versions against the original rhythm and got a bunch of vocals. It's just weed, yeah. You can kind of hear like a bit of aliasing in the background, but if you're playing like DIY pellas, if you can get a good one, you can put it over tunes and it'll sound pretty good. So if you look down here, transpose, it's actually +1 on the transposition, and that's because the original key of this track is in E minor, but we're in F minor, so I transpose it up 1, and this is how I use this thing. Originally, it sounds like this. Just weed. That's transposed. Just weed. It's just weed, yeah. Which doesn't work with the key. Just weed. Transpose it up 1. Just weed. Cool. So now we got that. We got the Black Eyed Peas. We got the Mary Jane OG acapella. And then I grabbed some of the Michael Palmer classic Smoke the Weed song, which Ed Solo and I made a sweet bootleg of a long time ago, years ago. It's a great song. But you can see this is the full reggae song. So I'll do lots of sampling like this and stuff in sets just to, you know, whenever I feel like it. And then Million Dan Blaze It Up.
Okay, yeah, we are go blaze it up, blaze it up. Million Dan, me I go blaze it up, blaze it up. Burn the fire, me I go blaze it up, blaze it up. Make the people and hit the ceiling when they raise it up, raise it up, raise it up again. Yeah, that's the joint.
It's from Ed Solo and Decline's tunes. They're with Million Dan. They're homies and sent that over. So you're just always like building your collection of exclusive vocals and stuff to use just to set yourself apart and make interesting things. Back to the Black Eyed Peas.
That's the jam. Turn that down.
I'm in love with Mary Jane. She's my main thing. She makes me feel alright. She makes my heart sing. And when I'm feeling low, she comes as no sign.
So this is one of the better Spleeter ones I've done. And I'll just say, now that Spleeter exists, you have an obligation to not make shitty mashups, not make out of key mashups. And, you know, as a producer, you have an obligation to, like, you know, try to do quality. That might be a bit audacious of me to say, because I had a really hard time figuring out if this key match actually worked, but to me, it does. So maybe to like a classically trained pianist, that might be out of key, which I never like doing, but to me it sounds good, so I hope it is in key.
I'm in love with Mary Jane. She's my main thing. She makes me feel alright. She makes my heart sing. And when I'm feeling low, she comes as no surprise. Turns me on with her love. Takes me to paradise. Do you love me, Mary Jane? Yeah.
So then this is transition. What you can do with acapella is it's like messed it up here because of the tempo change stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, what do I need to do here? There we go.
Do you love me, Mary?
Okay, so this is a tune bootleg that X-Ray Ted did, and I had him send me in the original. It has this like phone sample in it that I didn't want, so he sent me over a version that didn't have the phone sample. This is the one, and I didn't want that in it, so he sent me over.
Do you love me, Mary Jane? Yeah.
Okay, so some effery going on right here. Okay. Oh, gotcha. Okay, so what you have to do, so this is what happens when you have like tempo automation down the line. So everything for the most part, all this stuff until I change the tempos again, all the stuff needs to be 110. So I'm going to put like a marker down here before all the rest of the set. And I'm going to put, I'll just keep updating it for wherever I'm at because I just need everything to like stay consistent as it's mixing. Not that.
That's the jam. Turn that up. Do you love me, Mary Jane? Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Now everything's playing as it should. Then I let the, I actually do like the telephone part, of this combo because he goes like hello, and then I put the Million Dan acapella there.
Yeah, we are gonna blaze it up, raise it up, raise it up again. Yeah, smoke the weed. Up, raise it up again. Yeah, smoke the weed.
And then I bring back the Smoke the Weed vocal that was playing over here over this whole combo. So let's just keep moving through these. And yeah, this song, when X-Ray Ted produced it, just needed to be a little bit louder to mix with everything else I was playing. So I would probably just grab these acapellas and put that in the group with this now, and take this limiter and put it on the group. And then you can see I've done the automation for this vocal everywhere. So everywhere that this vocal plays, I'm just like dropping out a bit around 1K just to make room for it, like I've been demonstrating so far. Really nice bootleg here.
Yeah, man. Clean air, clean country. Anywhere we are, globally, veteran Borobantan I teach them. And them a deal with Mother Earth, so. Yeah, man. Them a mash up the earth with them mass.
Okay, something is messed up.
With them mass destruction. Global war. Talking about the birds and the bees and the fishes.
Okay, so what's going on with this? Okay, so this is, once again, and this is happening because of like the tempo changes and unwarped and warped pieces. So let's go track. I think what I did, I used a different, I used this kick to replace the main kick because I didn't want a big kick on this like intro mix. So I'll replace that in a second. And I'll just get the timing right. So get that there. Stuff. So this needs to hit here.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Yeah, man. Clean air, clean country. Anywhere we are, globally, veteran Borobantan I teach them. Yeah, man. I make them a deal with Mother Earth, so. Yeah, man. Them a mash up the earth with a mass destruction. Global warming. Talking about the birds and the bees and the fishes in the seas and the global warming when you're killing all the trees.
Okay, so a couple of things happen here. It's like the scope tune comes in, the acapella with Miss Savona, it's the Clean Air, Clean Country that I remixed in 2011 with Bro Banton, and then the outro to the X-Ray TED stuff. So when I DJ'd this live, the Savona is merged with the X-Ray TED, and then I mixed in the scope shaft and tune on top of that.
Yeah, man. Clean air, clean country. Anywhere we are, globally, veteran Borobantan I teach them. Yeah, man. I make them a deal with Mother Earth, so. Yeah, man. Them a mash up.
So I think this probably just needs to come down. Volume on the mix.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Clean air, clean country. Anywhere we are, globe. Yeah, man. Clean air, clean country. Anywhere. Yeah, man. Clean air, clean country. Anywhere we are. Yeah. Yeah, man. Clean air, clean country. Anywhere we are, globally, veteran Borobantan I teach them. Yeah, man. I make them a deal with Mother Earth, so.
See, I want to pull the EQ down a little bit more for this part, but it's set at a good level for these. So I'm just going to automate the gain of it. It's a little bit more for this part.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Clean air, clean country. Anywhere we are, globally, veteran Borobantan.
Jam and B, there is at least 2 websites I've found that people have compiled the Spleeter GitHub like into an online platform that you can upload things. One's a paid one that you can upload waves and get different things, like different quality and stuff from. And then another one is like a free one, but there's definitely 2. If you go search on Reddit, you'll find it. Yeah. And then I sent Zan or Yen, your Bill's girlfriend. She's brilliant. Computer's slowing down if I'm trying to run my internet browser at the same time. Anyways, I believe her name's Yen. Apologies. But she's like engineering Spleeter to go into Ableton Live in a Mac's device, and she's like using the like learning algorithms to like organize to like get better. Yeah, YannXZ. Thank you, Chris. So she like was asking, I just sent her my entire album of stems and acapellas. So her and her like friend they're doing it with can do like machine learning on like all the stems and get the algorithms better, because like it works pretty good, but it doesn't work amazing. And most of the time it sounds pretty crappy. You can pull like little bits, but like the aliasing to me is terrible for the most part. But I sent her over an entire album of stems so they can like do machine learning on it and stuff like that. So hopefully these algorithms are going to continue to get better. And I mean, I'm just like all for pushing creativity and music as far as it will go, you know? So, hopefully I can kind of help them to, do more stuff.
With a mass destruction.
Okay. So pulled some EQ out. The acapella is coming in. So it's like, 3 things mixing.
Anywhere we watch up the earth with a mass destruction. Global warming. Talking about the birds and the bees and the fishes in the seas and the global warming when you kill it.
And then same thing, Scope, really good friend, amazing producer. His tracks are so loud. So sometimes like you need a little bit of a different curve to like let the acapella come through. I'll turn the EQ off to see what it's like.
global warming. Talking about the birds and the bees and the fishes in the seas and the global warming. When you're killing all the trees of the ozone layer with a lot of...
Like when you turn the EQ off, you can still hear the vocal, but you don't hear it well, and you can't like make out the words as good, and there's just like too much shit going on. So like it's just really important to like EQ your tracks for the vocals properly. If you were producing the track, you would be doing this inside the track, but because I'm just mixing two things, I'm doing it myself.
Talking about the birds and the bees and the fishes in the seas and the global warming. When you're killing all the trees of the ozone layer with a lot of disease, we need a solution, please. Talking about the birds and the bees and the fishes in the seas and the global warming. When you're killing all the trees, no atomic bomb or nuclear energy. Come take it from the better teaching it globally. So when you cut down the tree or burn that the leaf, that means it's a landslide we go conceive. When the bird gets hotter by so much degrees, it's a melt of the ice and rise up the seas. Blood of hurricane, yes, that we are going to see. So now the earthquake and a land and disease, mass destruction on the seas like this. Mr. Pollution, I'm begging you to leave. About the birds, talking about the bees, talking about the fishes.
Okay, so the delays in this session aren't what I want them to be, so let's delete this.
About the birds.
I'll probably come back and make some new delays. I want the
talking about the bees.
Ones.
About the bees. Talking about the fishes. Fishes in the sea. Talking about the birds and the bees and the fishes in the seas and the global warming when you're killing off.
This is one of my favorite vocals of all time. You know, I'll tell you a quick story. Mr. Savona, like amazing reggae producer, one of the best in the world. He lives in Australia. The original tune that this is from is called the Fire Dragon Rhythm. And then Burrow did a version with Jake Savona, and that's called Clean Air, Clean Country. So if you want to hear the original of this, I actually played it in the first episode of my Different Strange show with a big dub plate that I had made with Lady Shan, and played a whole bunch of the different versions and stuff. I love this song so much from the very first second I heard it. I just like, it was just one of the best songs ever. I'm just absolutely in love with the message and the rhythm and Burrow's vocals and the delivery, and it's just so good. It took me almost 2 years emailing Jake Savona. This song came out in 2009, and it took me 2 years of like before he like trusted me and saw what I was doing to send me the stems for this song. And I remixed it, and I opened my set at Shambhala in 2011 with my remix of this. And that set and that moment, and yeah, that'll be one of my favorite things in my life forever. So this song just means so much to me. And yeah, there's a little story.
Talking about the birds and the bees and the fishes in the seas and the globe.
And I love mashing it up with like new stuff all the time. So with this scope, shaft, and tune.
Globally. Globally.
If you guys got any questions, maybe we'll stick around. I'll pause for a second. There's like a 30-second delay or so. So if you guys got any questions, I'll stop in a minute and see what you got. Oh yeah, I think I have links maybe turned off? Are you guys trying to share something? I have the URL for her video. Yes, exclusive vocals all day. Yeah, sorry, I have some like link stuff turned off on my restream just so people like don't come onto my radio show and spam a bunch of garbage and stuff. Yeah, I guess just what's up, Tinkstradamus? Just message them, exchange private messages. Okay, cool. And now I use this wobble thing like 3 or 4 tracks back to get into the 420 Blaze It Up stuff. But now I'm actually playing it because it's been part of this combo I've been doing forever. Big up Wobble, he makes great tunes.
Yeah, man.
Little Clean Air, Clean Country vocal thing there. Sweet. Looks like no one has any questions or anything. How you guys doing? Are you enjoying this? What's going on? Okay, so here's the culprit part. So this will be where some fun and getting the tempo changes and stuff right will be, but let's just do some EQ automating first and volume automating. So yeah, the culprit tune is super loud. Wobble's tune definitely isn't. Just reading your guys' questions. Ahi, what's your take on extreme BPM changes? Yeah, it's great, man. It's like everything is different, you know? If it works, it works. Everything, music is so subjective, and there's definitely no hard rules for anything. Everything can be broken and manipulated, and that's the great thing about music and what we're all doing. We're all finding our own ways to express what we think is sweet and cool and what works. And yeah, man, if you think it's dope, if you like a big extreme BPM change or whatever, just yeah, you know, and you can tell if people can follow it too. You'll see it on the dance floor sometimes. Like, I feel like I've gotten really good at how I transition my sets and how I change tempos and stuff like that. Yeah, we'll try and blast through this one, and then I'll go from DMB to house. So that's a massive, you know, that's a pretty huge change, going from like 87 to 125 or 175 to 125. Either way you cut it on the double or half or full time or half time. It's a big BPM change, but it's definitely gets a huge crowd reaction every time. And so let's get through this culprit one, and then I'll get to the that big tempo change. Okay, so I need to cut the low end of this kick. I'm going to try and start working really fast here. Okay, so turn it off there and turn it up. Yeah, we got it going right there.
Nightmares in reality.
Okay, and to cut the lows of this kick out on this. Already had that, but let's change this.
I'm a boss bars hard till my chest breaks up, let my lungs.
Okay, and then
Boss bars hard till my chest breaks up, let my lungs get wrecked with the taste.
now usually when I'm mixing this live, I'm just using the up fader just to let the first like 2 beats.
I'm a boss bars hard till my chest breaks up, let my lungs get wrecked.
kind of so. And I think so. Basically, what I want is this just to be really quiet. Yep. Oops.
Bars hard till my chest breaks up. Let my lungs get bars hard till my chest breaks up. Let my lungs bars.
So this is just, you know, redoing what I would do on the DJ mixer for this mix, cutting out the lows and doing a pretty like taking the volume right down, except for this little piece right here with the vocal. Okay, so cool. Now I'm just going to duplicate that because it.
Bars hard till my chest breaks up. Let my lungs get wrecked with the taste of the puff trust. I blaze enough green with some real rough teams. Come to my neck of the woods, it's like a fuck dream.
But I need to let that little O
get wrecked with the taste of the puff.
So I'll just copy this.
With the taste of the puff trust.
But I don't want it full volume, I want it to ramp up.
With the taste of the puff trust. Get wrecked with the taste of.
And I don't like that.
Taste of the puff. Taste of the. Get wrecked with the taste of the puff trust. Get wrecked with the taste of the puff trust. Get wrecked. I'm a boss bars hard till my chest breaks up. Let my lungs get wrecked with the taste of the puff trust. I blaze enough green with some real rough teams. Come to my neck of the woods, it's like a fuck dream. Nightmares in reality. And it's really sad to see most won't survive when they step into the baddest beats. And if you think they get different, put your ear to the speakers and just.
Okay. So now I want to kind of finish the
if you
phrase
think they get different, put
with a delay.
Different, put your ear to the speakers and just listen. Different, put your ear to the speakers. Think they get different, put your ear to the speakers and.
Perfect. That.
Think they get different, put your ear to the speakers and just listen.
And also, just because that's like, I want to, with that volume, I think I want to actually, with those movements, just put another utility on there and just slowly.
Survive when they step into the baddest beats. And if you think they get different, put your ear to the speakers and just listen.
And then I also want to put a reverb. Reverb in the session? I don't. Okay, so I want to reverb on some of those hits. So one of my UAD ones, or like the AKG BX20. It's just like a really nice plate reverb. I want the low cut. It's like super. EQ it. See what all you guys are saying. You approach. Thanks, Boogeyman Music. Can't wait to hear your something at Shambhala. I wonder what that filtered out. Hey, can we see what's going on in your master track? Yes. Master track's literally just a span. So I'm completely against any sort of DJ mix mastering. You don't need to master your DJ mixes if you're mixing all the transitions and everything properly, because every track that you're playing has already been mastered. You don't need to, like, you know, unless, you know, and the only things that I do is put a limiter on groups for when I'm playing acapellas and samples over tracks just to catch peaks and stuff. And I mean, if you wanted to be like a little bit lazier, you could just throw a limiter on it doing nothing, like just a Pro L2 on your main and just leave it there, and then it will pull those clips. But I'd rather do that on a group by group basis when it's needed. It doesn't always need it, because like Ableton has like built-in limiting or something that like usually things you really got to be pushing shit for it to distort and sound bad. Yes, this was my 420 set that I played. DJ Mian. So basically this was recorded with CDJs, now tweaking it. No. So I engineer all my sets first in Ableton with the raw tracks and files and Abletons and samples, and I make this giant puzzle of like, you know, 100 songs and acapellas in 60 minutes, and I make this huge, puzzle, and then I export out all the pieces to weave them together in Serato. So I'll export them out group by group. Usually like each color thing that you see here is a group of like acapellas and samples and, combos, and everything's like changing tempos and working together. So I'm engineering a giant mix here in Ableton first, and then I'm exporting out the pieces to play them. To answer your And now I'm doing the studio mix, which is just like refining all the ideas and doing all the like little things like volume and EQ automation that I would usually do when I'm playing it live. I'm just doing that in here and then re-recording all the scratches, and then I'll like export out the whole thing and give it to people to listen to as a studio mix. Ableton. Yeah, thanks for explaining it, guys. Yeah, Span Pro. Yeah, I use Span on a different setting than Ahi does. I mean, I've watched his tutorial, and he has a great method for how he uses it. I learned how to use Span from Joe Ford from some tutorials that I took, and I have my own setting. Basically, the difference is like I think Ahi's things are. So the way that I have Span set up, it's different in its in the slope settings, and I believe in the block size. There's a few little things. So I just copied what Joe Ford does, but how he explains it is great. So basically, like with this Span setup, you're let me find a track that's really loud. So let's go back to the one. Basically, like your sub is peaking at 0, and then you're referencing against that. So it's kind of like you have your first sub harmonic, your second, third harmonics that you're watching kind of like waterfall go down, and then you have your main stuff kind of hanging out from like 3 to 6 between like minus 36 and minus 30. And it's the same thing, it's just like there's nothing better or worse with Ahi's way or Joe Ford's way or how I use it. It's just like how you like to reference things, and then you just get used to it by looking at it and referencing other tracks and stuff like that. So you can tell when a track, like a neuro track. That's my tune. Definitely not pushed as hard as it used to. But it's also like we're talking about when it's sitting at 0, and what the kind of music that Joe Ford makes is like maximum RMS, super, super loud, D&B, like the highest level of D&B production that is, everything is as loud as possible. But you don't have to make your music like that. And like it's easy to make your music sound not very good trying to get those levels. It takes a lot of knowledge and skill to get things that high. So like look at like this X-Ray Ted tune. His kick is like pushing just over minus 6, and then look at scope. Fishes in the sea. Talking about the birds and the bees and the fishes in the seas and the global warming when you're killing them. So you can just see where his sub fundamental is pushing and going through. And I've just found that's how I like to reference songs and do it. But yeah, Chris uses it all the time too. Span is amazing. I can't remember why I bought the pro version. I think you can do all this with the free version, but I think I just bought it. It was like 10 or 15 bucks just to support them because they're a really good company. Yeah. So if you guys want the setting, or if you want to take a screenshot of this, Shift Command 3 or 4 if you're on a Mac, and you can set it up as yours. That's the setting right there. Cool. Okay, let's get back and get this done. Okay, I was gonna like send some of this to like a reverb. I'm gonna do that later because like that's just some nitpicky stuff. So let's get into the culprit. 110 banger. Not a sandwich, I'm talking about vibrations. Okay, so here's like kind of gonna be the tricky part of getting this. Let me close all of these. Let's turn off the automation. Let's look at the. Oh, let's. That was the bounce. Pairs, we don't need it. Okay, so this culprit tune, the tricky thing is navigating the built-in BPM change. So my thing, so we're at 110. Let's keep it there. And then what we need to do is...
in reality.
Okay, so like right here needs to be 125. One type. Now I'll probably have to do it just because it's so finicky. It'll be a bit different. And you see how like as I change it, because like some things are warped and unwarped, it's like adjusting that. So get to it.
Nightmares in reality.
Did I do it? I got it.
Like a fuck dream. Nightmares in reality. Like a fuck dream. Nightmares in reality.
Sweet. Done. Okay, so nailed it. This isn't warped though. You know, it says it's warped, but really it's not. So I can just go in here and turn this warping off. You can see that the waveforms didn't actually move because this is where it changes tempo. So I'm just letting it change tempo inside the track, how Culprit produced it. And then when it gets to 125 BPM on this drop, I just change it in my tempo automation. And then the next thing that you want to do is come here right to the transient of where this starts. Command 4 is going to turn my grid off. And I'm just going to go right to the start of that transient. And then I'm going to go to create and add a time signature change. And what that does is that resets the grid at the tempo I'm at now. And now everything's going to line up. Hopefully. Unless I'm totally wrong. It should. Theory. Holy cow, I just heard something. Did somebody give me... feel like somebody subscribed or something, so I set up a little alert for it. So you guys get this. So I think if someone just subscribed or donated or sent some bits or something, thanks for that. That's the little Twitch bonus. Oh yeah, it's in time. Oh yeah, sweet. No, I had the grid turned off. That's why it looked silly. Okay, sweet. So it's always good just to like rip your click just to make sure everything's in time. Okay, so we navigated that tempo change built into a track. That's how you do it. Unwarp the part that changes tempo. Make sure the stuff that's warped is at the right, tempo, and then do a hard tempo change just like that. It moves and it's a little bit finicky because of how things are in Ableton, but you'll get it. And then set a new tempo change marker, or not a tempo change, a time signature change marker, which resets the grid, which will just make your life easier. And I use those tempo change markers or time signature change markers all the time. Like a track has an extra bar in it or something on a breakdown, you can just reset it so everything goes back to like hitting on the 1 and the 4. And when you zoom out, your grid, is back into like 4 chunks and stuff like that. Helpful. Okay, so these back. Okay, let's open up. Sweet, let's open up all these. We'll get rid of that. So this goes into jumping. Okay, so it's 2:10, 12 to 1, 1 to 2, 2 to 3. So we're at an hour and 10 minutes. Okay, so you guys, I just need to do this work anyway, so I'm just going to keep going. Hopefully you guys are on board. We'll get to the big D&B to house tempo change. There's maybe like 4 or 5 tunes from that. So now we're going from house to D&B. So this is another FeatureCast tune, Keep On Jumping, that goes from the main version. And let's just automate this quickly. What did I do? Same thing twice. Oh, because I meant to hit utility, not EQ. Wait. No, I don't. 3, I want you at 0. Here. So I'm turning an EQ on. I'm going to automate this gain, maybe to ramp in. Maybe by here, because the volume's coming up right away. Okay, and then I just use like the culprit intro. Okay, and then this is just the instrumental of this song. But I got Lee Featurecast to give me the instrumental and the samples that I used. Okay, and this is where it starts changing tempo to drum and bass. So this needs to be 125. Okay, and then... Okay, so here's the bar marker. And still, for whatever reason, things messed up again. So let's add another time signature to get the grid back on. Okay, and then... From here, this tune is 174 BPM in its repitch mode, which means we need to get from 125 to 174. So let's go here, 5. Let's come down here and 175, so everything stays going. Same thing. So a lot of the times I'll use little extra kicks and explosions and stuff just to give impacts to build-ups. What up, J. Paul? Yeah, and you're just like, you're enhancing or like driving past the message. A lot of transitions need a little kick or a crash or whatever, but it's dependent if it's there already or if you need it. Yeah, so this builds up. All these, I just kind of like did some editing and like added a little D&B kind of fill snare roll. In the sets that I've been playing for the last, little while, like this was always like the first D&B tune that hits of the set. And it was always just such a fun, like that culprit tune smashes so hard and it sounds so amazing on a big system, like such a great producer. And then you pump it up to house music and everyone's pumping the house for like 30 seconds. And then you have this big build up and then it goes up and drops. And then that flute from the culprit tune that you've been hearing for a while is on this D&B tune. And like, man, this combo has smashed so many dances and like, it's just been the best feeling to always play this, like 100% one of my favorite mixes I've done. probably a little bit too loud. And the Inside Info Hypnotic, I believe, is the tune. I'm pretty. When you buy songs off Beatport, it never in Wave, it never has the names. It's just this long number, but you can actually Google that. Let me make sure I give them credit because this song is 9-5. Who is it? Oh, sorry, it's Document 1, not Inside Info. Document 1, Hypnotic, such a tune. Document 1 and Inside Info are both like amazing. They're some of my favorite guys for sure. So yeah, just some like extra kicks and explosions and stuff to kind of like, you know, use a little. Okay, and then when I'm DJing live, that transition happens, and then I get this acapella ready to go right away, which is a DIY acapella of Sam Binga and Ryder Sharif, Proud.
You're proud of your shit, proud of your.
So I like do a little scratch and drop this in over top.
You're proud of your shape, proud of your size, proud of your looks and you're proud of your style, proud of your body, your bumper and thighs, you're proud of your complexion, so killing me that smile, proud of your shape, proud of your size, proud of your looks and you're proud of your style.
See, like before I put this EQ on, this acapella sounded like it was loud enough, but as soon as I pull out some of that like 1K, actually let's just take a quick look.
You're proud of your shape, proud of your size, proud of your looks and you're proud of your style, proud of your body.
Yeah, I mean, like, so there's a couple of things. Maybe like he's got so much low end in his voice, and there's definitely that low end in the tune, so it might be something worth looking at. If
you're proud of your shape, proud of your size, proud of your looks and you're proud of your style, proud of your body, your bumper and thighs, you're proud of your complexion, so killing me that smile, proud of your shape, proud.
You notice it when you start EQing it, but like if you come back and listen to it, it didn't need to be there.
You're proud of your shape, proud of your size, proud of your looks and you're proud of your style, proud of your body.
We'll drop it just a little bit. And then EQing out some room in kind of the top end, like the vocally range just makes nice.
Proud of your looks and you're proud of your style, proud of your body, your bumper and thighs, you're proud of your complexion, so killing me that smile, proud of your shape, proud of your size, proud of your looks and you're proud of your style, proud of your body, your bumper and thighs, you're proud of your complexion, so killing me that smile.
One bless, proud of me body, no need no gym now, follow everybody, me body firm, no it no flat.
You're proud of your smile.
One bless, proud of me body, no need no gym now, follow everybody, me body firm, no it no flabby, shape like the mother of me favor me that.
You're proud of you.
One bless, proud of me body, no need no gym now.
There's not so much going on where her vocal range is, so that's fine.
One bless, proud of me body, no need no gym now, follow everybody, me body firm, no it no flabby, shape like the mother of me favor me that. Me have the natural body.
Right here is when I start mixing the next record. So we did it. We got through that whole transition of another song, and
Any boy you come easy.
Proud of your shape, proud of your size, proud of your looks and
now it just goes into the acapella. So now what we need to do is go to the other parts. Amplify it. No, I met Sam Binga. I've been doing this combo for a while. I made the DIY acapella like years ago. This song's like a few years old now. Maybe made it like 2 years ago. I met Sam Binga and he seemed super nice. I usually try and like build relationships with people before I start asking them for samples and stuff like that, but maybe he'd send it over. I love his work, man. He's such a great producer, and Ryder Sharif. I hope I'm saying his name right. Amazing vocalist. But like I said, I always try and use it at in a very respectful way, in key. I really make sure that the blends I'm doing and stuff are, you know, as good as I can make them. I, you know, just do my best to pay respect to the artist. Okay, so let's put a marker here. And we'll just call this end, so it's really easy to see in the timeline. And now let's bust out to the rest of the set that I just blew it up way down the timeline. So he. So this is like the edit from that I imported. And then I kind of like had this combo from like other sets. So I just kind of like put it here as a placeholder. We can get rid of this old set bits now. We can ungroup, import this, because that doesn't matter anymore. That was just for getting all that stuff in. We can just take a quick look here and get rid of some things that we don't need. And like I'll come through.
Must be cold, burner. Fire, can we never get cold, burner. Hey, say, Stickybuds. Let them know this in a blackout, J.A. And Stickybud right here.
I had been like doing some editing on how I want that vocal to hit, and I'll come back and get finicky with that later. But that, transition is pretty much done. All the tempo changes of getting through parts into there, and then so yeah, we got to like fix this now and get there. So basically like what happens is this vocal ends right here. Okay, so I don't know if I need these. I'm going to delete all the space between here and where that mix changes. So I'm just going to go narrow so I get an easy grid, and then I'm going to go here right to here because this is where that transition happens, and then edit, delete time, and it's going to get rid of all this extra shit that I don't need. But as you can see, so here's a good example. Like in this set, I've built up to 175 BPM, the full time warping, and in this set, I've warped the next D&B tune that comes in at 87.5, which is how I usually do it. So now I'm gonna have to like do a little bit of trickery to get these things to work properly, but that's okay. This is how we do it. Plow through. So we're gonna delete the time. Now it's gonna sound weird. Oh, it actually might work. Okay, so it kind of works, but Ableton doesn't like it if you do this tempo change. You can't exactly half time it like that. You gotta kind of trick it a little bit. So I'll show you how to do that. Where the hell is this acapella? I don't really. That just always good to just kind of like before you start deleting stuff, just make sure there wasn't something that you needed down in the timeline for some reason, especially when you're doing like this kind of like set merging and stuff like that. And this is just the acapella from like the full edit. Yeah, I'm just gonna use the acapella that I actually imported from the new edits.
Right here.
I might need those acapella bits, so I'm just going to leave those. Okay, so we're getting here. Okay, so here's what we need to do. We got the hypnotic tune. We got the proud acapella. So these are both playing in time perfectly. I'm going to make edits here. So these are warped. And what Ableton's getting pissed off because I'm basically making it go half time and it sounds weird. So like even if I just extend this and switch here and half the BPM, it works, but the transition sounds shit. There's like that weird glitch from it. So what we're going to do is we're going to take these two little pieces and we're going to consolidate them, Command J, and just render them into audio files so it warps, like it merges the warping of how those songs are, like the acapella for sure. And hypnotic the tune. Okay, so now that they're warped and we've baked in how the timing is, now we're going to just unwarp them. And now when we come here, we can do like a smooth tempo change. And even though that's not really affecting the audio file is changing the timeline. So what we need to do now is come in here and Command 4 to get rid of the grid, because like it's like not on the grid now that we're like messing with the timing and stuff. And we want to get right, come on baby, right in there. And then we're going to go right to here, get it perfectly. Good enough. Edit, delete time. Okay, and then we need to do the same thing on this side because it's still, oh, let me see. Oh, it's still doing that. This is so annoying. Okay, I think I need to maybe do the same thing with the. Okay, the fun part. What did I do? Good part. Problem solving. This is the #1 skill to have in this business. That did not work at all. Okay, let's get this. I need to. Maybe it's just this one that I. We're gonna get it. Lose. Why is that? Where's that hack? We're gonna get it. Fuck yeah. Fuck off. Okay. Bow, bow, bow. And then it's kind of like going off because like the previous. Okay, so this acapella just needs to go right there because next vocal.
that smile, a smile, a smile, a smile. Kill him with that smile. Dance so kill him with that smile. Dance so kill him with that.
Come on, get out of here.
Kill him with that smile. Smile, 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 smile. Complexion so kill him with that smile.
Okay, and then into some exclusive Ed Solo business.
Proud of your shape, proud of your size, proud of your looks and you're proud of your style, proud of your body. Proud of your size, proud of your shape, proud of your size, proud of your looks and you're proud of your style, proud of your body, your bumper and thighs, you're proud of your complexion, so kill him with a smile, proud of your size, proud of your looks and you're proud of your style, proud of your body, your bumper and thighs, you're proud of your complexion, so kill him with a smile, proud of your shape, proud of your size, proud of your looks and you're proud of your style, proud of your body, your bumper and thighs, you're proud of your complexion, so kill him with a smile.
Okay, sweet. Got that. Now, I don't think I did the octave. So this needs an EQ just to make room for that vocal.
Your shape, proud of your size, proud of your looks and you're proud of your style, proud of your body, your bumper and thighs, you're proud of your complexion, so kill him with a smile, proud of your shape, proud of your size, proud of your looks and you're proud of your style, proud of your body, your bumper and thighs, you're proud of your complexion, so kill him with a smile.
Okay, now this acapella needs a little bit of warping still just from...
Proud of your shape, proud of your size, proud of your shape, proud of your size, proud of your looks and you're proud of your style, proud of your body, your body.
So always make sure that your like transients are hitting right on the grid and that you haven't like messed up somewhere and warp the whole tune.
Looks and you're proud of your looks and you're proud of your looks and you're proud of your style, proud of your body, your bumper and thighs, you're proud of your complexion, so kill him with a smile, proud of your shape, your size, your shape, proud of your size, proud of your looks and your shape, proud of your size.
It's so weird how Ableton like does that. Like that's definitely a fuck up of the program of how it like does these like extreme tempo changes. Like you really got to deal with this shit. So there was, when the Ableton 10 came out, I thought it was a lot better, but still like kind of just a mess up.
Proud of your shape, proud of your size, proud of your size, proud of your looks and you're proud of your style, proud of your body, your bumper and thighs, you're proud of your complexion, so kill him with a smile, proud of your shape, proud of your size, proud of your looks and you're proud of your style, proud of your body, your bumper and thighs, you're proud of your complexion, so kill him with a smile.
Okay, cool. And then this song just kind of goes. Oh, I'm pretty sure I heard someone just donate some money. All right, and we're back. Okay, now we got this tune by Subfocus. And as always, everything's in key, everything's mixing together harmonically and stuff like that. I think I'm going to skip over this one just because it's the same thing. I'm just like going to EQ and automate the volumes and stuff like that so it mixes nice. Usually it would be what I do. It would be what I do when I'm DJing and stuff like that. But now I got to do it here on Ableton, which is fine. So that's this, this Illuminate remix. And then I went through and grabbed the song that Ed sampled. Vibes Cartel, I believe. Pretty sure. And then, yeah, just use like the little vocal bits to keep going with this. Yeah, that Y2 Mate, I just use that to rip stuff off YouTube every now and then. Like if I'm just going to get a sample, which is this, like the original Vibes Cartel song that Ed sampled, and I'm just trying to get a little vocal snippet, I'll go on to YouTube and go to Y2 Mate and just like download the thing. You know what? If like there's a lot of times when I'll just try and go and buy the song, but the music industry is just so effing stupid in how music is consumed now. I can't even buy it. It's like, go listen to it on Spotify or go on Amazon Music, or like it's just not even available for purchase for me to buy in a file. A lot of music, so much music's like that. So if these record company idiots would sort out the system and let me buy a WAV file and not listen to it on frickin' Spotify, I'd buy every tune. But anyways, every now and then I just go on Y2 Mate and just download it off YouTube, especially if I need a quick sample like this, man. So yeah, you're not going to see any full tracks, you know, that I'm DJing off Y2 Mate, because that's some lowbrow stuff. Okay, anyways, sub focus. Just keeping the mashup going and then kind of do a big hard cut here. Some of these, oh no, they should, I think some of the delays on here, I kind of just brought these in from another session like I just showed you guys. I haven't redone all the delays on how they're supposed to be, but for the most part. That's the beauty of like mixing in key, man. You can do these like huge drops and transitions and use different parts of different songs, and like you'll find ones just go really nicely together. Okay, so we're getting to the D&B to house transition. Holy moly. So this is the little vocal that's coming from a little clip I took from Illuminate. Okay, and then so we go to a Pigeonhole song that sounds like this. Pigeonhole represent, if you don't know about my homies out in Victoria, they are the dopest, so they make all sorts of dope bass music. So this track's called Cryptoing. I'm not sure when it came out, but they always send me some like promos to play and stuff. So anyways, I hit them up because these are all the same key, and I just wanted the opening synth so I could play it over the D&B. Yeah, I'm just seeing a comment about the pitch shifting. I've seen that on other music stuff on Twitch. I think that's like an internet connection Twitch thing. But yeah, you know, that's something with this stream audio, I think. Hopefully we reach a level of technology where that goes away. But yeah, it's not on my end. So we got the synth. We keep bringing back the Vibes Cartel underwater vocal from 2 songs back. And then we get into the Get Up Off That Thing vocal, which is the vocal that I use way back here in my track Do Your Thing. So I'm like bringing stuff from like 15 minutes ago and bringing it way later into the set because it's all in F minor. So you can do that. Yo, I need to go to take a quick bathroom break. I'm just going to let this play. I'll be back in 30 seconds. Okay, so this is the DMB to house transition. Get everything working still. Yeah, you can see me. All right. Okay, so this cryptoing synth that Pigeonhole sent me is the same one getting used. Actually, I think I just... Oh yeah, this, I think in the other edit that I had in the other session, I used this, but this just needs an EQ. There we go. And then turn that off on the transition. Okay, so this is Martin Horger's tune Jungle. Now I have all the acapellas and stems to this, and you know, I might go in and do this totally properly, but there's certain sounds in the intro I actually liked. But it slows down and I use the vocal to transfer into house tempo, and then this synth comes in at house tempo. Yeah, it's just the bounce synth. And I usually do like a little thing on the fader, like get it, like kind of chop it up and stuff like that, which is sweet. And this transition always got a really good response in the club too, because it was the first house part of the set when I built this. And I'd usually get on the mic and thank everyone for being there and big them up and big up Martin Horger, my friend. And yeah, so we got this. Okay, I think I've kind of gone through a lot of like the techniques and what I do. So really it's just like a lot more repeating that now. Just like doing the tempo transitions and complex into repitch and doing that sort of thing. And then bringing in new elements and new things. So now we get into like this whole house section. And then like bringing in the acapella again. And then going to a feature cast tune.
A little more cardio. With the live in check, a rough neck, make comfy Rex set, a rough neck, we got.
And then this is actually another place where I use Spleeter. So Featurecast sampled, this is like a whole bunch of tunes. Like he'll make these mashups of like old vocals and bass house or whatever. Like he'll make these pretty complicated bootlegs. So this is one of them. With the Freestylers Roughneck acapella, whatever the bass house tune actually is, I'm not sure. And then the Pointer Sisters acapella. That's a happiness. Sing. Right on the drop, you hear that vocal. That female vocal is the happiness vocal. And so I used Spleeter. I went and got the Pointer Sisters vocal and song and ran it through Spleeter, and I got some pretty good results. I got like this back kind of chant, and then I got, see, you can hear the aliasing and filtering of how Spleeter like pulls out the vocals and stuff. So it sometimes works and it sometimes doesn't, but it works a good enough. Because it's right on the transient of where it's really aliasing, the kick drum from the new tune totally works. So this is like a hard switch with the Pointer Sisters, Spleeter, acapellas, and a crash coming out of like the feature cast tune. I'm just gonna, because this Joyride song is super loud, I'm just gonna drop it maybe like a little bit to match it. Yeah, and then I'm gonna drop happiness. Same thing, like automating the EQ to let in the pointer sister vocals. You can see it turning on at the bottom. What's up, Jazzic?
The missile is aimed to blow you out of the frame.
So what I'm gonna do, because I dropped it. Oh, did I? And put it 0. And then we'll just let this ramp back up from.
The missile is aimed to blow you out of the frame.
I'll probably put something on the drop there, like a little. I know I did it later, so I actually use this pointer sister vocal a whole bunch more throughout the rest of the set. Okay, so same kind of thing. I just pull a little dip out here. Let's turn this on for these little vocal bits. When you have a pattern, put out the automation chain and do it. Sell some time.
Bring that back. Bring that back.
You let everybody believe you're dead.
All the same key, using the vocals from different songs to go through each other. And then the Martin Horger comes back. Man, I personally go crazy on this mix because it's just like you haven't heard it for a while, and I love how he like treated the vocal and cut it up. Oh, it's just so good when it comes back. Okay, man, we're getting, it's almost 3 o'clock here where I live. That means we're coming up to 3 hours. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'm going to just quickly show you a little bit more, but if you have any questions or if you want to know anything or just want to shoot the shit, it's all good. Please, if you guys want to check out, I got a Patreon going for lessons if you're interested in lessons or you guys want to check out anything. There's like a $2 a month support for the radio show if you want to chip in. You know, every little bit helps. It's all good. Either way, it's totally all good. No, don't feel obligated. But yeah, if you want to support, it's there. So this tune, we go from house here to like trap beats. So this is another In the Dark tune from Pigeonhole. It's another one. So I keep using the Martin Horger vocal. The Martin Horger vocal and the Pointer Sisters vocal keep coming back for like a long time in the rest of the set. Can check out the tempo automations. Now we're going from 128 up to 145. Jay, I got 2 new songs in the works. The radio show has been a ton of work, so it's kind of set me back a little bit on the production, but I'm really enjoying it. I'll be back to producing studio music. I've been redoing my entire sample library and deleting tons of stuff just to get super organized. I'm just like trying to get as efficient as possible right now and just not waste any time. I'm just working like 10 hours a day doing the show, doing production, doing everything, setting up. You guys should see what my basement looks like. It's like a total movie studio down here with all the green screens. I got a white screen for my production right behind me. Then I have a green screen for the show. I've got cameras and lights everywhere. And yeah, I'm working hard over here, but it's been really sweet.
Softly as if I play piano.
That song's called In the Dark by Pigeonhole. It's so good. And then after this one is an exclusive Cursa tune. This is an old mix I did in like my old set. Is this MLK Fabrication Night Punk remix. It's super sick. But for this set I switched it and I just used the intro. I'll do this lots of just using the intros of songs or like whatever little pieces. It sounds great. So that's like the old mix I used to do, but I just used it to get into the Cursa one because the mix here with the Night Punk remix was better to get into this Cursa thing. So
I'm a thug.
big up my homie Cursa, man. He's one of the best. I've been supporting his tunes forever, man. I've been such a fan of his. It's great to see him getting absolutely world famous now. He deserves it. He's the man. So then like more acapellas and stuff. So that's from my tune Firestarter with Blackout JA, because that comes in way later in the set. So these little vocal things, this is actually the Martin Horger acapella that I put into a sampler. And then I just made it into steps. If you go watch my behind the scenes video on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/stickybudsmusic, there's like a behind the scenes thing of like my stream setup. And I chopped these for the set and so I could play them on the little pad thing I have. So this, like, I mapped it out here first. And I did those on the pads kind of live. And then, so there's parts that I was doing live, and then there's parts that are like way too fast for me to do live. That's like chopping up vocals like that is just something I've always loved. Shark Army, what mixes are available? Every single mix I've ever done is going to be available. Every song I've ever done is going to be available for all the Patreons, including the weekly uploads of just the music of different strains. So you can have those to download if you don't want to listen to them on YouTube. I'm just going to give those to the Patreon people. But yeah, literally everything I've ever done will be available for all the $5 patrons. That comes out on June 1st. And then I'm also, after June 1st is the first intake date, but after that, I'm going to give all the $5 patrons and up my music first. So if something's coming out on the 1st, I'm going to give it to them on the 27th or 26th or something like that, just so they get like a early exclusive for being a supporter. So yeah, so keep using these Martin Horger vocals, and then this is like kind of like getting to the climax of the mix.
Thug.
You are good. You are good. Back on the jump. You are good. You are good.
So same thing. It's like
Thug.
You are good. You are good. Back on the jump.
want to like just
Thug.
You are good. You are good. Back on the jump.
I'm definitely going to make a reverse reverb to go into this. So this is like a drum and bass tune, Jack Muir Champion Oculus. Amazing tune. So, but we're at like 140 right here. 148, 140, yeah, like 140, 145 for this cursive tune. And then we're going to go up to 175. So this is like a big transition here. Same key, the cursive tune and the drum and bass tune, using like just the drums. Yeah, there's a producer thing on Patreon too, which everyone's going to get stems and, you know, things to start working with. And I'll probably do like track reviews, and I'm going to give everyone as much value as I possibly can for supporting me on there, because that's really dope of you guys to do that. I think 60 people have signed up to the Patreon so far. A huge thank you. If you're in the Twitch chat room, they all have diamonds beside their names because they all get VIP in my Twitch. So I'm just looking at the restream chat. I can't see who's in here with the diamonds at the moment, but if you see anyone with diamonds, big up Diamond Crew. Thanks for the support. So like this just keeps like building in tempo slowly, because we're going from 145 to 175. So it's another tricky tempo thing. And like the vocal of the new song comes in right here. So right here, I'm going to have to work on this part a little bit, because there's like this drum break, which I wish wasn't in there. It sounds fine normally for the tune, but because I have it slowed down right here, I need to like hide it under probably some other drums, which I'll do. But also right here, I start bringing back in the Pointer Sister vocal. Patch UK, does this $10 tier come with any of these mix set Ableton Projects files? No, I can't give away like other people's music, you know what I'm saying? Like giving away DJ mixes is one thing, but like giving away a set like this full of other people's musics, like wave files and 320, and plus there's like so many exclusive things that only I and a very few other people would have, like so many of my friends and producers trust me with like super exclusive stuff. Because I treat it with such respect, and because they're like part of my network and friends and stuff like that. So I'll never be able to give away these sessions, but I'll teach you how to do it all day. You know, like I love teaching you guys how to do stuff. So I hope you'll use these kind of tricks and tips, and yeah, you know, blow up your own cool ideas. So this part goes crazy with the Pointer Sisters and the chop of the Martin Horger, because it's like speeding up and I'm still using the same sampler. This part probably needs, I'm going to fucks with these a little bit. That delay. I'm gonna make the feedback last. Maybe. Fucking love that mix. That, oh man, the vocal that Martin made for the house tune, so fucking good. And then that with the Pointer Sisters, and then this chick singing, like, yeah, it like brings emotion out of me, you know, like, and that's how you know when you like find good mixes. And I don't fucking care if no one ever like feels the way about this mix as I feel the way about this mix, but like this shit almost like makes me cry. Like I love the combination of this shit so much. There's always like moments when I'm making my Shambhala set when I like get like teary or like get emotional, and that's how I know that I've like found something like really dope. And then I'll like explore those ideas more. And then that Pointer Sisters, that's the Pointer Sisters on the drop still. The splitter. Okay, we're almost at the end of this set, so I'll just keep going really fast through it. So that Pointer Sisters vocal keeps going. And there's maybe just a little bit there. There we go. And so this is Party With You by Benny Page and Sweetie Irie. All the same key. Everything, you know, everything sounds good going into each other, and I can keep like sampling things again and stuff. A little bit of Firestarter acapella there. So yeah, so the Firestarter acapella right here is in F minor. Sweetie Irie, Party With You, Benny Page mix is in F minor. And then this is the Mr. Ben, just the rhythm, the instrumental. Sorry, yeah, so Ben, also like a good homie who always is like supporting me and sending over instrumentals and stuff like that. Been doing it for years, and acapellas, like, he's such a good dude, and like I really appreciate it when people like hook me up with their stems, you know. It just lets me do so much, all the things I want to do. So people who do that are epic. But yeah, you got to earn people's trust too, and show that you're going to do good things with them, and that you're not going to like upload exclusive stuff on the internet or put it for people to get, you know. So don't be surprised if you don't always get stems from people, you know. Like I don't necessarily send my stems out just to anyone. I'm going to give a couple, well, I'm going to be giving them to my producers on my Patreon, but it shows they're of a high character if they want to support me and stuff like that. And I feel like people are going to treat them with respect and stuff. But yeah, it's just like, you know, it's a family when you get these things.
We are brave from Saturday to Saturday. It's burning hot. Can't get away, me say the freedom in a park. Fire, fire, it's burning hot. Can't get away, we have the freedom to attack. Bona, fire, fire, call the system corrupt.
So we got Blackout on the nice Mr. Ben rhythm, just sounding real sweet. And this is the end of the set, you know? This is it. This is the finish. And all those things that I showed you, that, you know, 53 minutes long, this 3 hours of me explaining all of these mixes and how all these things went. And, you know, there's some combos in here I figured out a long time ago, like years ago. And then there's combos that I just figured out this, for this set. But yeah, like the amount of hours and trial and error and take and like how long it takes me to make a set like this is like, it's an insane amount of work, but like, this is how I like to be a musician. This is just like how I like doing it. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed.
Fire, can we never get cold, bona. Fire, cause the truth must be told, bona.
Just sending those to all different delays. And then I got Phrase, this is also off my album In Your System.
Turn me up in your system. Grab the chain, spit in flames, squeeze the pistons. Cause it's gonna be a hard and heavy load. Fly your planes, drive your trains and heavy load.
Shambhala! Fractal Forest! Send a message!
Every day and night.
Now hear this! Stickybuds! Taking you on a musical journey!
Cause it's gonna be a hard and heavy load.
Well, there you go, friends. I'll probably play with some of the reverbs and timings and just work on that vocal a little bit more. And there's a bunch of little edits I need to do still for the most part, but that's how I do my thing. That's how I've always done my thing. And I like to feel like I get better at it every time I make a set. And I'm always, evolving, trying to figure out new tricks and combos and things like that. And I mean, I used to make one set like this every 6 months, and I'd like get to go tour around the world to all my favorite places and make all these, crazy sets and get to see all my friends and play these sets in different places. Now I'm doing it pretty much every single week on this Different Strain show that I'm doing. I'm still putting like so much work into the execution of how these sets are done. And it's a lot of work, but I mean, I love it. And there's no other way that I really want to showcase music. I'm still kind of like playing some tracks and stuff like that and talking about them, trying to do a bit more like education and talk about all these musicians that I love and all these producers that I really respect and have worked with. And yeah, just trying to like share a bit more about the music culture. So it's not just a DJ show. I wanted to make it like a show on the radio that you used to tune into in the 70s or 80s, before radio got like super commercialized. You like tune in to like a DJ that you like, and he's playing, all the music that he loves and knows about and like respects, and like he gets to share that with you. So that's what I'm doing with Different Strains. I'm going to be doing stuff like this. I'm going to be playing other stuff. And yeah, if you guys are interested in learning more, you want to book a private lesson, that's all up on my Patreon, or send me a message and you can get my whole catalog or, whatever you want to do, my patreon.com/stickybuds. And yeah, man, that's it. So I'll chill here for another couple minutes. I got some friends coming over for dinner. Oh, but if you guys got any questions, I'm happy to answer them. Yeah, Gary Berg, it's a lot of work every week, but I'm stoked, man. Like I'm even when clubs and things open up again, I'm going to keep doing this show because I'm getting a little bit older. I've been touring around the world for 15 years now. Not quite that long, but like 11, 12 years. I started DJing in 2005. But yeah, I love playing shows and stuff like that, and I love connecting with people, but I don't think I want to be 65 years old on tour still. So I want to build something that's really special, and I really feel like Different Strains could be that. And I want to, have a show that people tune into to hear brand new stuff. I get so many amazing promos from labels and friends and stuff. And, yeah, that's like, I'm going to just really try and make this really special. And we got all these sweet animations that are coming like this, from my friends, Savannah and Mac, who are like doing all my graphics and things like that. They're really amazing. So yeah. Awesome, man. Big up Amplifier. Okay, well, it doesn't look like there's any questions or anything like that. So I just really want to say thank you guys for tuning in. I have no idea how many people were listening or watching, but I hope you enjoyed. And I'll leave this up on my Twitch and on my I'll leave it up on my Twitch and YouTube, youtube.com/stickybudsmusic and twitch.com/TylerStickybuds to check out. This will be up here for you to watch again if you missed something or want to check out. So much respect, everyone. Thank you for tuning in.